Good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. And today is New Press Box Day. Look at that. Fresh, hot, piping sports coverage. We've got you. You need something to read while you're sitting on the toilet? This is one of the problems that I have, toilet related. Take my phone in there with me. I could end up in there for 30 minutes. I just forget that I was in there. You're like, there was a purpose to what I was doing. I just end up, this is more fitting. Because it's not infinite. It's just a perfect amount of reading. There you go. Right there in the new print issue of Press Box. If you'd prefer, you can put it down on a table in 2 months when you're cracking crabs and you need something to use in order to cover up. But for now, it's tremendous reading. Whatever you end up doing with it later, that's your business. I don't come to your house. I don't stare at what it is that you're doing through the curtains. Not since the restraining order, anyway. Go get it right now. A special feature section about the 2024 Orioles. Some college lacrosse coverage in there as well. Some advice that Press Box personalities have for incoming Orioles owner David Rubenstein about how to steward this franchise. It's all inside this print issue of Press Box, which will be available today at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Coming up on the program today, allegedly Drew Forrester is joining us in studio. Boy, that would just be a real shame if it didn't work out. A little bit later on, he'd be bummed because John Feinstein is going to join us. We'll get some Lefty Driesell memories from John Feinstein. I'm sure Drew will ask him something stupid about golf that I won't remotely care about. There he is. But John Feinstein will join us a little bit later on. Also this morning, we'll catch up with Ben Verlander from Fox Sports, get his thoughts on where the Orioles sit, pitching-wise in particular, and we'll catch up with former Ravens cornerback Gary Baxter will join us this morning. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea what this prepared shtick is.
Doing anything. I'm just officiating in this Big Ten.
Oh, yeah? Did you bet Maryland?
Joke.
Wait, they covered, didn't they?
They did cover.
Yeah, they covered. Why would you be mad? They covered.
I took us on the money line.
Well, why in God's name would you do that?
Because I thought we were going to win.
Well, that's you have a problem. You have a problem.
Unbelievable.
What, okay.
This call at the end of the game.
I'll keep this over here. Thank you. There he goes. We had him for 2 minutes.
The concert calendar.
People kept asking me why it was that I was nervous about doing a show on the radio with Drew. This right here.
The concert calendar.
This. He arrived at 10:03, and at 10:04,
I'm still despondent about
already trying to do something else.
About last night.
You can't actually care.
About our Terps.
Your Terps. What do you mean, our? Although they get Derek Queen. I'm back in.
Are they getting him? They're going to open up the wallet a little bit.
They got to open up the wallet for bet. They opened up the wallet last year, and what do they have to show for it?
Yeah.
They opened up the wallet to keep Jameer Young around, who's been great, by the way. And nobody's complaining about Jameer Young.
He wasn't that great in the second half last night.
I can't believe you watched.
But he was good in the last 4 minutes.
By the way, for a minute, I actually had the game on in the first half, and then I remembered there was a soccer match last night. I'm like, there's no chance I'm staying for the end of it. It doesn't matter. Why would I stay?
Have you watched?
They hung in there.
Great. They've done that a lot. What is that? What do they have to show for it?
Have you watched the Netflix Under Pressure?
No, I have
Did you
not.
watch
I
it?
have not watched that yet.
It was good. I mean, it was a little weird in that you knew.
That's the problem that I have with it is like
you knew how it was going to end, and you knew they did such a good job of promoting Rapinoe that you kind of were. I was waiting. I'm like, okay, how are you guys going to wiggle out of this when she misses the kick? Mm-hmm. How are you going to wiggle out of it? And I thought overall it was they did a nice job. I don't think they did a great job of showing or hinting at the sort of strife that occurs between the girls who are married and the girls who aren't, if you know what I mean. And there's a division within the club there.
Okay.
They dance around that. You know, they show the locker room as like one big happy family, and it was far from that. And they didn't do a good job of that. But I thought overall it was very interesting.
There's a problem in this era of sports documentaries where the subjects aren't. You have to commit to doing it ahead of time. Only like this thing they're doing with the Red Sox this year. Why would anyone want to watch a documentary series about a mid-baseball team?
Right.
What is interesting about that?
Right.
The answer is, in their mind, well, that's the team that would say yes.
Well, they right, and they also knew with this particular show, and like Christy Mewis is an example. They tried to showcase her for a variety of reasons. They assumed she was a lock to make the team. She turned out to not be a lock to make the team, and that dovetailed perfectly into the whole story of like these 30 women are trying to make the team. We're going to find 2 or 3 of them who are fringe players, Lynn Williams or whoever, and they knew one of 2 things was going to happen. They were either going to win the whole thing, which would make for a great story, or they were going to lose. And depending on how they wanted to show it, they might have been able to show it in a terrible way. I mean, not terrible way, but like, oh my gosh, here's what happened. Here's how they fell apart.
Yeah.
And they tried to blame it on the coach.
Yeah.
You could clearly they tried to make the coach out to be the scapegoat. And I thought it was very compelling, even though I knew the finish.
I'm not saying I'll never watch it. I'd say my interest in that team was what we talked about last summer. I think they committed to saying to this group of players that might have been past their prime, you've done everything for us, so we're going to keep riding with you, despite the fact that the answer probably should have been go younger and say to that group of players, the time has passed. Like, if we want to win the World Cup, we can't win it with you.
Well, the
longer.
irony is...
But they felt like they kind of owed it to that group of players to keep sticking it out with them, and it cost them. And there's some argument. You and I talk about this with Ovechkin all the time. There's some argument that they did owe it to that group of players. So even if we lose this World Cup, you've created so much for this program that we're going to let you go ahead and have this. And this is the Landon Donovan conversation from years ago about leaving him off the team, and ultimately they ended up succeeding a little bit more, so I don't think that ended up being one that you would think back on too much. That proved to be maybe the right decision to leave Landon Donovan off the team. But I that's the only part of them that's really all that interesting to me. Otherwise, I don't really have any interest in reliving it because they just weren't very good. So I don't care.
Yeah, they had a weird, I mean, you kind of forget, the way the whole thing transpired. They won 3-0 over Vietnam, that a team they should have, could have, would have beat 9-0.
Mm-hmm.
They played the Netherlands to a 1-1 tie, and then they didn't score against Portugal. And that was the, like, of all the things that losing in Sweden, they didn't score a goal again.
Right.
The irony of the whole thing was the players in question, meaning the older group,
right,
Rapinoe, Morgan, O'Hara, and Horan, of that, the irony of the whole thing was, in the end, he went with them.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan failed to score despite having a number of chances against Portugal and a number of great chances, failed to score, then didn't score in the first whatever minutes against Sweden, and then he pulled her, so she didn't get to take penalty kicks.
Right.
She had a number of chances in that game, didn't score. Horan, of course, had the goal against the Netherlands after she got in the pushing match with the girl. Then he didn't play her. Rapinoe came in, gave him 15 decent minutes, and then missed the penalty kick. And then Kelly O'Hara missed the one that effectively cost him. And those 3 of those 4, because Morgan was a pretty staunch supporter of Vladko. The other 3 were clearly the most critical of him, and they were the ones that got in. That's the funniest part. Like, they were the ones that he trusted in the end. They were the older group that you were just talking about. He trusted them and said, hey, I'm going to go down. I'm going to win or lose with you.
Yep.
And he kind of said that in the post-game press conference. If I had to do it all over again, I would let Megan Rapinoe take that kick. Like, he trusted them, and then they were the first ones to squash him. That's the funniest part.
It's the reality.
And now, obviously, he stepped down. But
I tell you what, though, the girl, Moultrie, that girl
they have
girl's legit.
The current group, and, the current group, she had a couple goals last night, or at least one, maybe
she had
two.
Yeah.
This current group, now Morgan played last night, but she only played because the girl busted up her knee a couple days before. This current group of players, the younger players, is very promising, very promising. But the world has definitely caught up to them.
100%. They closed the gap, no question.
The days of it just being the U.S. is going to the semifinal or final, like those days are done.
Yep, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt. But that was fun last night. It was way more fun than watching Maryland basketball last night. I watched
until we got jobbed at the end.
I said I didn't watch Maryland basketball because why would I? Look, I saw the foul that everybody's talking about. It's hilarious. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. But I just don't care. The game didn't matter. This is like
charge before that too.
This is the
DHS.
thing. I say the same thing both ways. You can't get me to watch preseason hoops. You can't get me to watch games of teams that don't matter. I just can't do it.
No,
I
should
don't.
be ashamed of yourself.
Should I? Should
the state,
it does matter.
It's the state.
No,
Matter
it
for
does not.
Wisconsin.
It's the state team.
Probably still.
How old is that? The Kroll guy, 38.
Who?
Stephen Crowell.
Yeah, Crowell.
Oh,
How old is he? 38.
From Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Well, they always have one of those.
He's been there.
I think Brad Davis
is he still
there,
there?
right? I think
Brad
he's
Davis
still
is
on
still
the
there.
team.
He came. I went to the game the one year when
fully bald.
this was like 4 years ago when Wisconsin won by a point when Maryland was no good and Wisconsin was good, and it was one of those. Wisconsin was up by 10, up by 9, up by 7. All of a sudden, Maryland's in the game. Wisconsin won by a point. He ran by right down where I was standing with Dale, near the press area. Davison ran by. He looked 50.
Correct. I'm pretty sure he is.
He looked
P.J. Ellis and
He looked.
Perry Ellis.
He looked
There it is.
50.
Yep.
Because the other kid, the shooter, was still with him then. The kid that went to play for I think he wound up playing with the Wizards.
No.
Yeah, you know who. The kid for Wisconsin. It was a really good shooter.
Which
The
kid from Wisconsin.
Davis?
Maybe.
Johnny
Davis?
I think.
Yeah.
Johnny Davis made it in the league, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
didn't he play
the
for
Wizards.
Washington? Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah.
I-
that's technically.
I had 2 games with the Wizards, so I mean, anybody. If I could play, anybody.
He's
could
still
play.
there. Wow.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's still with the. Well,
I
he's,
mean, he probably
no.
doesn't.
Take it back. Take it back. He's not really still there. No. I couldn't believe that. Johnny Davis was.
Are we going? Are we going to Merriweather at all?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I don't know.
Have you seen the date? Have you seen who's coming?
Well, I'm definitely going to a handful of shows this summer. I'm definitely going to Third Eye Blind Yellow Card. I'm doing that one for sure. I'm doing.
Okay.
I'll probably end up going to OAR because Mrs. Clark will want to go to OAR.
When is that? I'm going.
That is what do we do? Why do I let him do this?
When is it? I'm marking it on my calendar right now.
OAR is July 27th. July 27th.
Day of the week is that?
Oh, it's a Saturday. In fact, I'll definitely go to Hootie and the Blowfish.
All right,
too.
read me the schedule.
I'm not reading the entire Merriweather schedule. We're not doing that. Oh, you know what show I'm going to?
I thought they were a sponsor.
They are, but I can't just.
So you're going to badmouth the sponsor?
No, I'm not going to badmouth them. I love Merriweather. I will spend many nights this summer there. I'm just not going to read the schedule.
Sounds to me like you're badmouthing.
Oh my God.
I'll look myself since you don't want to do it.
I'll go to Lake Street Dive for sure. That's at the end of the.
Pass on
They're
that.
great. They're tremendous. I'll go to Mount Joy. I'll do that.
Can we bat? If I see, are we allowed to bash or no?
No, don't. What is your deal? What has gotten into you? Is this because you're still mad about your performance in Dead or Alive the other day?
Oh,
You've been dodging questions about that.
I hit
performance.
400.
You did, which in baseball would be tremendous, but in Dead or Alive, it's a very disappointing performance. What's gotten into you? What is your
Pixies
deal?
and Modest Mouse.
Yeah, there is that.
I would potentially be interested in that.
Okay.
Sarah McLachlan, no thanks.
Just
Alanis.
reading the Merriweathermusic.com to find out who's coming to Merriweather Post Pavilion this summer. Happy to have them on board. Love Merriweather.
Fits in the Tantrums.
They're playing with OAR, yes.
Oh.
They used to make good music, and then they kind of stopped.
I'm in for that. Get us some tickets for that.
Get us some tickets. I'll just do that. I'll just get us some tickets.
I thought you knew the guys.
I knew who? OAR?
One of the guys in the
I
band.
actually probably could get it. I take it back. I probably could get OAR.
Well, this is a
tickets,
weak
son of
schedule.
a bitch. Would you not say that?
So far.
Would you? What is your deal?
All-time low's coming.
Yes, first time they've ever headlined Merriweather. Very big
Oh,
deal.
really?
Very big deal for them. Very big deal.
$75. What do you get to eat dinner with them? What on earth? All right.
This was fun.
Let's talk sports.
Should we? Why would we start?
So I got
what
two
do we-
concerts I'm going to so far.
Yeah, that's what you got.
I'm excited.
Anything else that you had prepared for today?
Nope. No, it's not my show.
You want to go see
No.
Creed, Drew?
Who?
You want to go see Creed?
No.
Griffin lost a bet. Now you're going to go back to reading the magazine?
No.
because
I'm taking it with me.
Okay, very good. I don't know what's happening here, but I don't care for it.
Jeremy using a
whatsoever.
picture from like when he was 24.
Would you stop
Jeremy's 40 now. Using a picture
in
from when he was
here
24.
and railroads everything. I'm going to start with Would You Rather Wednesday.
All right, let's do it.
Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Goose Flights Lager, available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. All of the Glory Days Grill locations in the state of Maryland. $1.98 from every can sold goes to benefit the Goose Flights Foundation. It's a delicious beer, collector's can, the whole thing. Available right now, your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Also available in cans at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton, as well as Alonzo's on Cold Spring Lane. Available in cans and sixers at the Costas Inn in Dundalk and at Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North. And available in six-packs and cases at the Wine Source in Hamden. PressBoxOnline.com/gooseflights in order to find out more. Of course, Glory Days Grill also right now. It's that time of year. They've got the fish fry available, the fish sandwich, all outstanding at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. So the first question I have in Would You Rather Wednesday
All right.
is
Feed me.
very basic, but it
Okay.
discusses a topic that is relevant locally.
Okay.
Would you rather the Baltimore Ravens sign Derrick Henry this offseason, or no matter what the money is, it's better spent elsewhere?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in Derrick Henry.
I'm kind of blown away by how hot the Derrick Henry conversation has gotten.
People want Derrick Henry?
That's the part that I can't figure out. So far on Would You Rather Wednesday, they don't.
Okay, good.
It's wild to me how much buzz there is surrounding Derrick Henry and where it started from. DraftKings has Derrick has odds. You can bet on where Derrick Henry is going to play next season, and they have the Ravens as a plus 200 favorite, followed by the Eagles at plus 400. We saw that Jeremy Fowler of ESPN suggested the Ravens, based on his reporting, will look for a running back, quote, of pedigree, unquote, this offseason. I'm blown away.
How old's Derrick Henry? 32?
29?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, 29.
For a
Okay.
running back, that's
Yeah, that's old.
Now, let's not pretend like Derrick Henry is, like, falling apart.
Yeah, I mean, he's not chopped liver. He's not who was the retread they brought in last year? It was
In any of them.
Devontae
Freeman.
Freeman. He's not those guys.
I'm blown away by how much smoke there is right now with Derrick Henry. Not to say that any of it is real. It could all be nothing more than Derrick Henry's representatives trying to find him a home, and so
he just turned 30, by the way.
So we but failed to offer Gus anything yesterday. Everybody's presupposing he's not going to be back.
it's a weird situation with that group of guys where, like, you can still sign them, but it kind of doesn't make sense to sign them after this deadline because they're going to already cost you dead money. If you were going to sign them, why wouldn't you have already
just done it?
Yes.
Right. And then you got to come back from the knee injury, and you got Dobbins.
Well, you don't have Dobbins.
Right, I'm
Dobbins-
saying
yeah.
you have him at your disposal, but you got to sign him.
Right, correct.
But you got to sign him. Yeah, they need running backs. I just don't think Derrick Henry. I wouldn't be spending a gazillion dollars on Derrick Henry.
Well, that's the thing. I get the sense that some of this is Derrick Henry's not going to cost you all that much money.
Okay,
like,
well
there's
then-
just not a big
okay,
market.
then
But
I'd
that's-
listen to that.
That this is where I come back to. I don't know that it's even worth spending a little bit of money at running back right now.
Right.
Like when
Okay.
the other flip side of
So
the
what do
question,
you do? Draft him?
essentially,
Yeah.
the flip
Undraft them.
or do what you did with Keaton Mitchell. The flip side of the conversation is whatever the money is, no matter what it is. I just feel like running back at this point in the Lamar Jackson era
Let him do it.
is right. Thank you. Is going to have to be the position where you say we're not spending money there. Like, we're just not. If you were spending money, why not sign Gus Edwards? I don't think Gus Edwards is going to break the bank in free agency. If you were going to spend a little bit of money, the answer somebody would say is because they don't give him the ball anyway, right? Hilarious. I get it. But, like, if that's the case, then why you spend the money on any running back? Like I'm just so
just draft 3 of them and move on.
that's sort of where I am at this point. That I to me it's a nice luxury, and if you get to like the end of the market and somehow Derrick Henry is still sitting there desperate to find a home, and you're like, well, we've already spent all the money on the real players that we're going to spend.
Right.
And, you know what? It turns out we budgeted this.
Who are the
weird.
5 best running backs in the league right now?
Chubb.
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's one.
Okay.
Yes. McCaffrey's definitively one.
Okay.
Chubb, if he's healthy.
Okay. You never know.
Right. Taylor probably still.
Fred Taylor?
Yes,
Plays for
Fred
Jacksonville?
Taylor. Fred Taylor. Hell of a player. Hell of a player.
I would put Josh Jacobs pretty high.
Yeah, but, you know, like this is
Just
the
as a
problem.
pure running back.
All of this group, so I don't know who the 5 are, but the group of, like, really high-level running
right, here we go.
backs
Saquon.
is Barkley. McCaffrey, obviously, is there's a clear separation after 1. There's Barkley. There's Chubb. There's Taylor. Kamara is still in that conversation. You brought up Jacobs. I know Eckler had a down year last year, but he's still probably the closest thing there is to
Who's the
McCaffrey.
dude in Pittsburgh? Oh, Najee Harris?
Eckler.
He stinks.
He was okay.
I wouldn't put Eckler up there anymore.
You're mad about that because you're a fantasy football player.
Well,
Eckler's,
he's also 30 now.
But that again, then you're just doing the bit where nobody can be on the list.
I agree with
well, then
Griffin.
If that's your answer, is
yeah,
there are
kinda.
no good running backs, then but you
Aaron
have to
Jones.
separate. Aaron Jones is in that conversation 100%. The funny thing is the 2 rookies from last year I think should be in the conversation, but I don't know. Their teams did not use
Jahmyr
them.
Gibbs, I guess.
I thought Jahmyr Gibbs proved that
He had a
was,
good year.
Yep, he's in that conversation. Bijan Robinson should be in the conversation, but
Pacheco
was good. Kyron Williams was really good last year.
All right,
Kyron
so then
Williams
go
was-
in. Where were they all picked?
Right. Correct. I mean, like the
all
two,
over.
the two
Yeah,
guys that were
all over
the
is
two
the
guys
answer.
that were picked in the first round last year were specifically picked in order to manipulate the system, in order to say, we want these guys for 5 years and never sign them. We're going to run the hell out of them for 5 years,
that's it.
then they're gone. That was the point of picking 2 running backs in the first round. It's almost this weird, like we think there's now a market inefficiency here because we can get a 5th year of an inexpensive running back and never pay him any money after that.
Right.
So the 2 guys that were picked in the first round were almost specifically picked for the purpose of never paying a running back.
Right.
I hate being this guy because I do think that this team they're going to run the ball. Like, that's who they are. It's in their DNA, except for the AFC Championship game. Like, for whatever reason, except for when it
Yeah,
matters.
we didn't run it then, I heard.
Yeah. Other than the games when it matters
I
most.
think I heard.
Right.
Did we not run it in that game?
Yeah, not really. Other than when the games matter the most, they like to run the ball. Again, it's a weird.
Right.
Don't know how to handle that. So you would think that you'd want to have a pretty good running back on the field if that were going to be the case. But I just think the reality is, if you're measuring that against any other need the team might have, I'm going to say I think that other thing is I would rather spend the money there. I'd rather you go get another corner. I'd rather you go get another edge rusher.
a guard or tackle.
There's nothing.
I'm the same way. I mean, I don't know what constitutes a lot of money in the NFL. Is it $2 million a year, $4 million a year, $8 million? I don't know what that is. But I wouldn't give Derrick Henry a lot of money, but I wouldn't mind having Derrick Henry on the team. They're still treading on his tires. He's not a 2022 Tesla. He's more like a 2019. But he can still run. He's still useful.
If Derrick Henry cost you a league minimum, you'd take him 100%. But he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to cost you.
That would be embarrassing almost.
Yes, but that's kind of where we are with running backs at this point. Like,
Well, they barely make more than that when they're actually good.
I mean, this is the reality of the circumstance.
Right.
I don't know what the market's going to be for Derrick. I really
Mama, don't teach him to be running back.
100% do
right.
anything else. And I'm convinced that the running back position will die in my lifetime. That it'll just be you have wide receivers and it'll be the Deebo Samuel thing. You say to a certain wide receivers,
You're going to run it six times also.
You're going to run the ball sometimes.
Right.
That's the way the running back position will
like we try to do with
go.
Duvernay.
Kinda, except he didn't really. They weren't like straightforward.
But and Flowers,
Like-
we did it with him too.
But they're going to do it like the Deebo.
At one point in the AFC Championship game, Flowers had more rush attempts than anybody else
did happen.
on the team.
That did happen. But Deebo, they just line up in the backfield and they have him run between the tackles.
Right.
I think that eventually you will take a wide receiver, a tight end with that type of
You'll be relying on the quarterback more. Too,
physical
so,
frame. Your quarterbacks will run more, and there won't be a running back position anymore. There'll be a pass catcher, a scat back type, but you won't have a true running back in football within 25 years.
Not bad for a quarter running back.
A quarter running back, right? Yeah, there you go. You nailed
Right.
it. You feel good about that one?
Yeah.
That one was the one you worked on.
Not bad for
coming
a
in here
quarter
today.
running back.
So yeah, I'm in the. I don't think you spend any money at all
Okay.
at running back anymore. I'm just.
I think we sort of kind of agree. If they could get Henry and he's cheap, I say take him. But if
But
you want to draft,
But I wouldn't do it in the first 2 weeks of free agency.
okay.
Like that would be you get to June, and I'm not opposed to Josh Jacobs either. Like keep telling Josh Jacobs badly wants to be a Raven. It's weird.
What about Corey Dillon?
I don't think Corey Dillon would be the guy. I
He
don't
played
think
for a bunch of
killed
teams.
the Ravens.
Right.
He was really good against the Ravens.
Right.
So I get the idea, but
Right.
I don't think that's going to be the answer. I'm not opposed to Josh. I'm not opposed to these guys being on the team, but at the end of free agency, after you've addressed all of the real needs, and then you're sitting there looking and being like, huh, wow, they're still out there.
Okay.
All right, I guess we'll do that. Number two.
All right.
Number two.
I hope it's easier than that one.
I think that one was difficult.
Well, you blathered on about it for. Go ahead.
How-
Go ahead.
You sure you don't have to be over at the rectory? You
11
sure they don't?
I do about 11:20, but I'm good. 11:30.
Oh, you're gonna
After we're done with Finey.
Wow, Finey, I dare you. I dare you. Go ahead. I dare you. We booked Gary Baxter for you today.
I know. Yeah, I can't do it.
That's a real shame. That's a real bummer how that worked.
Go
out.
ahead.
Just a real shame. Number two, would you rather? The Orioles will sign Jordan Montgomery
Ooh.
if
Oh.
every day between now and the end of baseball season, you watch a video
Okay.
of live bugs being removed from someone's nose.
No thanks. For Jordan Montgomery.
For Jordan Montgomery.
Is it the same
Nope. It's a different video
every day?
every day.
Okay. Well,
Every day.
a
So
little
no,
bit of
no,
variety.
that's worse because then you don't adjust to it.
Oh.
If you get to see the same one, you've adjusted to it.
Well, I would think at some point I get desensitized to it, right?
This popped up first.
Nope.
Jacksonville's ABC affiliate
Nope.
shared a news story that included a video,
No.
and like an effing idiot,
How big are the?
I
bugs?
decided to go
No.
ahead and
Nope.
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 Can't
Love the
do it.
Orioles, but nope.
Can't do it. I can't. Well, you're gonna share it on the.
If it, I was thinking about
No,
it.
I don't know if I want to do
No.
that.
I love the Orioles.
You can
but
choose on
I'll-
your
I'll
own.
I'm
pass.
trying to think of what pitcher, like Ohtani, I might do it for.
Maybe I do it for Ohtani. Maybe.
Yeah, not for Jordan Montgomery.
Sure, you don't want to see it.
No.
You sure?
Yep.
'Cause I
wanna
got it
see-
right here. If you
I'm
want,
good.
If you want to see what it looks like.
Nope.
Quick
Nope.
flash.
If you want to,
No.
if you want to see, I can turn it around and I can give you a look. See, Griffin, do you want to see it? So there's the nose,
Oh,
right?
God.
Like that's just a
Oh,
guy's
jeez.
nose, and now he's talking. Hang on, let me see. I'll
See his face.
See if I can't skip.
Why does he have
forward to
bugs in
the
his nose?
part. Apparently this can happen when you're immunocompromised.
Yeah, you know what? I
You've decided no.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Just
I-
the look at the nose was enough for Griffin's. Like that's a nose. No, I'm out. I'm good. I don't even want to see that anymore.
no thanks. Nope. Don't need you.
Do you still believe that they're going to do something?
Yeah, but nothing.
Not Jordan Montgomery. They're not doing that.
Well, what is something then to you?
An
Michael
actual-
Lorenzen or
Michael
somebody like
Lorenzen
that?
would be something. Yes.
But he okay, something like that, sure.
'Kay.
Yeah.
I'm not certain of it.
Well, I think it's all going to depend on what the story is with Bradish. Is he missing a month?
But I don't know
or
that
is he
they're
out for
going
the
to have
year?
that answer. That's to me why
They'll know in 6 weeks.
I would make that decision. Right.
They'll know by the middle of March.
The middle of March isn't 6 weeks.
What's 6 weeks from when they started
from when
finding
they
out
started
about
the
this?
process.
Yeah. They're going to find out by the middle of March. If by March 20th, you're going to know,
Right. And
is Bradish going to be able to
And
pitch?
every day, somebody else is coming off the list,
Sure.
right? Like, Hyunjin Ryu's off the list now.
Where'd he go?
Korea.
Oh,
He went back. He said, I'm good.
probably should.
Who are the guys that signed 2 days ago that I've already forgotten about? There were two of them that signed on
on
Monday.
Yeah, I already forget too.
Again, because we didn't really want – these weren't guys that we wanted. They were just the guys that were available. And Liam Hendricks, that would have been for the bullpen.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
And Brandon Woodruff, who wouldn't have been able to pitch this season, but maybe by the end of the year he would have been able to pitch. But
They're
wouldn't
just
have been
going
a
to
help.
wait and find out what happens with Bradish.
But at that point, I don't know what's going to be there
Okay,
when you get that
then
answer.
Then they'll give the ball to Wells for 9 starts, and then his ERA will be 4.27, and they'll give it to Cole Irvin for a few weeks, and then it'll be June 23rd, and they'll start sniffing around at the deadline.
I'm afraid that is what's going to happen. Like, I'm afraid that's the case. And I don't think that it's the end of the world with starting pitching. You're down on Tyler Wells. I'm not down on Tyler Wells.
I'm not down on him. I would say that it's kind of inevitable if he's a starter, he'll be 5-2 early on with a 3.44 ERA, and then he'll have 4 bad starts out of 5, and they'll say, okay, Cole Irvin's going to start for a while now. That's all. I like Wells.
I don't know. I think Tyler Wells can be better than that, but I still would have the problem with the bullpen. Like, Tyler Wells needed to help solve your bullpen. Your bullpen is a huge question mark, a massive question mark going into the season that we're not talking about nearly enough. We've just accepted that it's okay that there's no Felix Bautista. They won 49 close games a year ago. 49.
But we still have Brian Baker.
There's a great point. Brian Baker's still there.
That's the only thing I would say. Somebody asked me today in Drew's Morning Dish, like, what's the one scenario that you could see the Orioles, tumbling? I said this last year when Bautista got hurt. The day that they said, he's out, even though they tried to get him back later. But when they said he's out, I said they can't win the World Series without him, right? And you and I talked about this. The closing role wasn't the issue. The issue was when you moved someone into the closing role, you've now created a gap somewhere, right? You pulled a piece. You got to plug a piece back in. I still do think they have the same issue, as I don't think Kimbrel's the answer.
Nope.
And I do see them going from 101 to 94. I don't see him going from 101 to 84.
Right.
That said, I guess a data nerd somewhere would say the likelihood of them replicating the 49 wins a year ago is very slim. Instead of going, I'm making these numbers up. Instead of going 49 and 21 in those games,
it was 49 and 24. And the numbers that I came up with were one run, 2 run, or extra inning games. And I believe it was 49 and 24.
Okay, so the data nerds would say that's more likely to go 49 and 24. What is that? 73? Is that 59, 69, 73?
Yeah.
The data nerds would say the more likelihood is that number is going to become 30, 39, 34.
Something like that.
40, 33.
Yeah.
You're going to lose some portion of that.
Yep.
Just not for any reason other than just because. Because it just kind of how it works. You're not going to go 49 and 24 2 years in a row or 48 and 20. You're going to lose some. So, and then you take Bautista out of it, and now you're really hard pressed. I think I think there is a chance that they dip into the low 90s, which is still good. Still going to make the playoffs.
It's definitely still going to make the playoffs.
Win the division. Who knows?
But the question, you went out and got Corbin Burnes.
Tampa's going to win 100 games because they just do.
They do, right? I understand, and they get their pitching back this year, so they should be better. I'll come back to you went out and got Corbin Burnes, which everybody's in favor of. Everybody's in agreement with. But it's a 1-year thing. It's 1 year with Corbin Burnes.
Well, that's all right now. That's all we're worried about.
I understand that, but that to me is why it's weird that you haven't done anything else. You're doing it's not all of your eggs in one basket. You're not going all in for one season, but Corbin Burnes is here for 1 year. Like, we can keep doing this, and everybody go, I don't know about that. Okay, until proven otherwise. He's openly telling you he's going to free agency. He's not hiding from it. Maybe David Rubenstein and his group will prove to be a team, but to make any assumption, to even think that it's as likely as it is not
Where's his
would
wife
be insane.
from?
Who, Corbin Burnes?
Yeah.
Because you think that's going to depend on
Sure.
that's where he's going to go?
Sure.
I don't know where Corbin Burnes' wife is.
Find out.
Never. Okay. I'll look into that.
You don't have enough faith in, like, come July they will make some sort of move that bolsters everything.
Maybe, maybe, but it's twofold. It's one, there are still guys right now that can help you that you don't have to trade anything for. And two, the games in April and May matter too. And we can keep saying, hey, the schedule doesn't look all that daunting in April. Fair. Like, all of these things are relevant. And I'm not panicked. It's just weird that you would make one move for one guy who's here for 1 year and say, but that's it. And have this glaring issue in the bullpen that you've weakened and you're not doing anything about. That's weird. That's all it's not there's no way they can overcome it. It's not they're doomed. It's that we have to acknowledge that's a strange set of decisions. It's strange to do that if you're going to acquire a guy for 1 year. If you were going to do that, you would think that you'd want to further bolster to address your weaknesses for that 1 year. Internally, they might say, we think we're good long term. We think that Bradish is going to be back and it's going to be great. Grayson's going to be an ace by the end of the year. Like, we think we're going to have the top of the rotation figured out post Corbin Burnes. Fine, but you still went out and got Corbin Burnes and traded away assets to do it. Why, if you're not really going to fortify to try to win this year? That's the only question that I have. That's it. And number 3.
Well, he's from Bakersfield, California.
Oh, good.
So, you already know where he's going.
The Dodgers?
Of course.
Yeah.
Because I heard they spend money.
No?
I heard they spend a lot of money.
Well, they're probably out of it now.
He's going either to the Dodgers or the Giants.
They spent $1 jillion last year.
They got $1 jillion plus.
I mean, actually, they're not even spending it because he's not taking the money until.
He's going to the Dodgers or the Giants.
Probably the case.
Yeah.
And, by the way, Would You Rather Wednesday here on GCR. It's also brought to you by Superbook. Right now, get in at Superbook, superbook.com, or download the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23. When you sign up, you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. And if you are bullish about the Orioles and that win total, it dipped just a little bit after the news of the Kyle Bradish injury. 89.5 is now the total at Superbook.
Boy, that's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. 89.5 is the number.
I like the home team, though, so I'm taking the under.
You're taking the under? All over that one. You can get in on that right now at Superbook. Again, use the code.
What are our Yankees? What's their number?
What is that? What is that, our Yankees?
What are our Yankees? What's their number?
What is that? You want to get in on that?
What is that, 87.5?
No, I think the Yankees are slightly above that number. The Yankees are 92.5.
Okay, so that's a joke, right?
Like,
come on.
I don't know if you heard. They got Juan Soto.
I did hear that.
I don't know if you're familiar with
who's
his
pitching.
work. I hear. I mean, they still have Garrett Cole.
And they have Marcus Stroman now.
Yeah, right.
Well, wait a minute. And they have Rodon.
Yeah, they're good. I'm not
they
sure.
have Cortez.
Yeah, all of a sudden
Never mind.
you're like, wait a second. Right, the Yankees.
Maybe
are good.
92.5 over is the number.
That might be right.
Okay.
All right, and number 3, would you rather the NBA an attempt to fix,
Fold?
quote unquote?
Would you rather the NBA fold?
Wow,
Yes.
going right there. An attempt to fix the All-Star game. They do the bit that the guy called in and suggested on Monday. They replicate the old MLB idea, and they go with home court advantage for the NBA Finals, try to make them care, or they simply abandon the game altogether, stretch out the skills competition over 2 nights, and now include a Sunday Ryder Cup style one-on-one event where everyone from the team faces someone from the other team in a one-on-one contest.
Well, that might be pretty cool. That might be pretty neat.
I have long suggested they make it a tournament.
That might be pretty cool.
Like that would be way more compelling, and guys would be way more interested in winning a
2-on-2,
one-on-one.
3-on-3, or
something like that.
Right.
But
just every All-Star is by themselves. They get matched up.
And it's almost it becomes fun. Like who is gonna face off against who here?
And the winner gets like $1 million?
Something, whatever it is. But
they wouldn't play for $1 million.
Yeah, they don't care about $1 million.
$3 million.
They tried that for the they tried that for that in-season tournament, and the Lakers won.
All right, the 2 teams that cared were the Lakers and the Pacers.
Everybody else is
Lakers are the best team in the NBA.
No, they're certainly not.
They're
not even good.
The regular season champions.
Right.
Right.
The only 2 teams that cared were the 2 teams in the final.
But you think I don't watch a second. Like I don't even watch a snippet.
I don't either.
If they did that, would you turn it on?
Oh, would I turn it on?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
But I wouldn't.
I would.
Okay. Well, there you go. Well, that's the thing. Like,
I
mean, again,
I'm not saying I'd stay. I'm not saying that I would watch every. I'm saying it would be enough to get me to look at it.
Well, this is like what the Golf Channel did with the Big Break back in the old days. But we didn't know who those people were. But we took whatever it was back then, 12 or maybe it was 12 people. You took 12 people and made them into personalities, and you got me to tune in every Monday to see which one of them got eliminated. And they weren't even real golfers. But the show was captivating.
You said it was for a golf fan, it was compelling.
Right. I mean, I don't think Steph Curry playing, Paul Pierce would be interesting. Is he still in the league?
No, he's definitely not still in the league.
Okay. I don't think Steph Curry playing Luka would be interesting to me. But I think NBA people, even modestly interested NBA people, might watch that.
I think they would.
And, they're going to hype it up with videos, and they're going to do what the Ryder Cup does, which is, okay, let's look at the pairings tomorrow.
That's the idea.
Right.
That's the concept.
That might be cool.
I may be even less likely, just because I know if they do that one-on-one tournament, there will be more social media clips that will.
And can you bet on it?
Yes, the idea would be that you could bet on it.
But
you can bet on the awful All-Star game.
I might be interested now.
Jeremy bet on 100 different things about the stupid All-Star game.
I mean, if they make it really fun to what, you got Shaq and Chuck, essentially commentating every single.
I was going to say if they're playing, I'm definitely.
Now you're gonna take a look.
I'm definitely interested.
Watch 50 and 6-year-old dudes.
I'm definitely interested.
Their way through trying to play basketball.
It would be fun to watch those two play against one another.
Yeah. At this point,
that would be fun.
It would be fun. All right, get your responses in at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. Someone's
still the funniest line of all time ever, when Shaq said to Barkley, you know what you got on your SATs?
Barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce.
Get your responses.
Might have been the other way around.
Somebody's winning.
It was Barkley said that about Shaq. Yeah, it was.
Somebody's winning a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill. When we come back in, America's fastest growing game show, that's what's wrong with this country. Drew's here. It's GCR.
Hey, it's Jeremy Kahn. This postseason, bet in person at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks with locations in Canton and in Towson, and enjoy the best in-class sports wagering experience at their state-of-the-art facilities, bringing an unmatched sports betting thrill.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover your next favorite beer crafted in the heart of Charm City. At Guilford Hall Brewery, we believe beer should be flavorful and easy to enjoy. Our meticulously crafted lagers and ales are derived from centuries-old European brewing traditions, a staple for both the seasoned beer aficionado or a novice hophead. Experience beer styles that dare to showcase the exceptionality of simplicity. Visit our restaurant and brewery at 1611 Guilford Avenue or view our menu and tap map online at guilfordhall.com. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
There's so much focus on sports betting these days, but I want to talk about an area that nobody wants to gamble on. Where you choose to go out and spend your hard-earned dollars to eat. The Costas Inn is no gamble at all. The quality on their menu is outstanding, and the value is off the charts with a great and varied list of specials Monday through Friday. And the staples of the menu, whether it's salads, burgers, fish, they're all fantastic. And I haven't even mentioned the crabs or crab cakes yet. So check out the menu for yourself at CostasInn.com. When choosing a place to dine, never gamble on the food you put in your belly. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or call 410-477-1975 for reservations and your steamed crab orders.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria. A.J. Michaels, heating and air conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
Back in here on GCR, Drew Forrester is here with us. John Feinstein is going to join us in about 15 minutes. Drew was checking out some high school hoops last night, and as always, for the best coverage of high school sports, get to countysportszone.com. It's your headquarters for local high school scores, schedules, standings across all sports. countysportszone.com is proudly sponsored by Toyota. All right, you want to hit that sounder?
Don't you see something every day and you say to yourself, this is the problem with this place? Yeah, this is what's wrong with the country. What's wrong with the country is we're not willing to talk about what's wrong with the country. That's definitely the truth.
That's what's wrong with this country is brought to you by the Green Turtle. What's going on tomorrow at the Green Turtle, Griffin?
Every Thursday at the Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, you get a free $10 bet to use on whatever you would like and experience the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. That's right, live in-person betting. The Green Turtle has Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. They're offering you a free $10 bet every Thursday, so go check it out. Enjoy some great food and some sports tomorrow night at the Green Turtle.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Well, I could start.
Okay.
And this happened on Monday. The whole idea of a race is to do what?
A car race, you mean?
Yeah, I mean practically any race.
But the design, to win.
Correct.
Yeah.
The design of it is you start at point A and you go all the way through until the race ends, right? How on earth can you have a race that ends when the cars aren't racing? How on earth is that possible?
I can't believe
that you
talking about the Daytona 500.
That you think that's a justifiable way of ending the race.
But why is that what's wrong with the country?
I'm going to explain it to you. I'm glad you asked.
Glad.
And this is what we do. We when it's all said and done, instead of saying, well, we know it might take longer, but we're going to do it the right way.
Okay.
And that is the problem. We know it might take longer.
By the way, the NFL fixed that in the playoffs.
We know it might take longer, but we're going to end it the right way.
Yep.
We say, well, we don't want to make it go on and on and on and on because it might go on for a while.
All right, who'd you bet on? Why are you angry about this?
Austin Dillon.
All right,
so
we had to get to the bottom of that.
It's a joke.
We met him once.
You want us to take the auto race seriously. You want us to. And at the end, they aren't racing. They're not racing anymore.
I don't know.
The person who won wasn't racing at the end.
So how did they? I thought they did like a green-white checker thing.
And the race ended under the caution flag.
I thought they couldn't do that anymore. I thought they got rid of that.
They do it now. I don't know why.
Weird. That's weird.
Why are you not racing your car around the track at full speed? Why? Just let them race. They're cars. They want to go fast. That's what they want to do.
It's like Lightning McQueen here
yes.
talking to him.
And the guys that are behind the wheel, they want to drive them fast. That's why they're in there, because they're weird, and they want to drive fast. So when you say to them, okay, here's what we're going to do, guys. We got all the rubble off the track, and now there's only 8 of you left because all the other 40 of them are crashed. But here we go. The 5 of you or the 8 of you are going to ride around really fast for the next 8 minutes. They all go, that's why I came here today. Let me drive my car
bet
fast.
on Austin Dillon, by the way.
A
Why
lot.
are you this worked?
So, but it's what's wrong with the country? rather than do it right, we decide to shortcut. And that is part of the problem with the country. Everybody's design, it's got to be a shortcut. Shortcut. How can I get away with not doing it all the way to the very end? It's unbelievable that they didn't have those guys race their cars.
You're so worked up.
It's unreal, and you want us to take it seriously.
Well, if you say so.
And somebody asked me this question today in Drew's Morning Dish. It's not that dissimilar to at the end of the football game, they don't play 60 minutes. Don't ever let people tell you these games go 60 minutes, because they don't. They go about 59 minutes until the team has first down, and then they go, and now the game's over.
Wait a second. Wait.
They don't play 60 minutes.
You want to take away knees?
Yes.
What the?
Because
they earned that.
They aren't playing football anymore.
What the hell?
They're playing another sport.
So what do you want to force them to do? What do they need to
play.
do? Okay.
Something's got to happen.
How do you stop it? The running back will just
Something's
slide.
got to happen.
They're going to have the
It's like the
quarterback
intentional
fall
walk.
forward. That's
no
all
more intentional walks.
Okay.
No.
Not allowed anymore.
No. Wow. Throw the ball across the plate. No more intentional walk. It's a joke.
It's a weird bit, man.
We just don't want to do it right. We want to shortcut everything.
Part of the strategy.
No. You know what it's called? Let me tell you what it's called. Let me educate you.
Okay.
It's called You're Afraid.
Afraid.
You are afraid to throw the ball to this guy. Because if you weren't afraid to throw the ball, guess what you would do?
Right.
You'd throw the ball.
Well, that might
but
be
you're
true.
afraid to throw the ball.
Or you'd just rather face the next guy.
Because you're afraid.
Or you want to line up a double play.
You're afraid to throw the ball.
Right.
You could still get a double play when you throw the ball. You're afraid to throw the ball because you're afraid to throw the ball because he might hit it where they ain't.
Right. No,
throw the ball.
This is weird.
And here's what I would say.
Yeah?
Every time I would definitely implement this rule. Every intentional walk costs you, and come up with it, costs you a mound visit. Every time you intentionally walk someone, there's got to be a penalty.
Okay, so they're just going to throw unintentional walks then.
That's okay.
Remember that game?
They're still going to be afraid.
Make it look like
Well, how does
trying.
it change anything?
Make it look like, you know what? What was the guy's name we had? Cabrera. He used to make it look like he was intentionally walking 9 guys a game.
That's true. That's a good point.
Just stop trying to shortcut everything.
Remember when Bryce Harper got walked? Like
Everything is a shortcut.
Yeah. It's a weird bit,
It's a
man.
shortcut.
It's a really weird.
Well, you raced your car for 6 hours, but now there's some stuff on the track. You don't have to race anymore. It's a joke. Race. These cars are built to go fast. Let them go fast.
Okay.
And this is what the message we send to America is. You don't have to do things the right way. That's the message you're sending. I'm convinced of it. It's the same thing with the intentional walk. It's the same thing with dirt in the ball. That's intentional grounding. You can call it whatever you want. You've intentionally grounded the ball. You shouldn't be allowed to do that. The same way when you're getting chased around by the defensive end, you're not allowed to throw the ball out of bounds unless you're outside of the tackle box.
Well, but should they get rid of that?
This isn't.
Should they?
Maybe.
Okay. This is fascinating.
Maybe something's happened in this country where everything
should you be allowed
is.
to foul
How do I?
Should
Look, I
be
said
allowed
this.
to foul at the end of a basketball game.
I said it. No.
Okay, now we're actually talking.
No.
I might be in agreement.
And this is the
I'm
funniest part.
curious
Time out. No. Because we're gonna go. This is. You know how many? I saw it last night. This is not sour grapes. Skyward Hall lost by 25 points. Mm-hmm. There were 2 fouls in the game last night committed by the Spalding kid on Brendan Johnson that were absolutely 110% intentional fouls. Intentional. He was going up for a layup. He got fouled, and the intent was to do what? To stop him from scoring.
They did this to Shaquille O'Neal for 15 years.
It's unreal. You know how many fouls? And here's the best part. Maryland played a game recently. Was it?
I'm not going to be able to do mine. That's okay.
Maryland played a game.
I'm oddly entertained by
Maryland
this.
played a game. I was at the game, Michigan State game. Maryland played a game that there was an intentional foul committed, a 100% intentional foul. Dante Scott clobbered a guy from Michigan State, clobbered him. And the refs went over to the TV, and they put the headset on, and they looked at it. And meanwhile, anyone watching the game with a brain at the stadium is like, you don't have to put the headset on. It was intentional. And they came back and they said, it's a 2-shot foul.
Common foul, yes.
Common foul. It's unreal. There are 10 fouls a game that are intentional. Because
Call them take fouls.
you know why? Because, and I said this at the very beginning when we started to do this segment, we are a country built on one thing. Everyone is trying to dupe someone. It's unbelievable. We're trying to dupe you into thinking that this is an actual auto race when they're not allowed to race their cars at the end.
I don't know how much you spent on Austin Dillon, man, but you got to seriously.
It's unreal. We're going to dupe
gambler.
you into thinking
HelpMyGamblingProblem.org.
We're going to dupe you into thinking that's not intentional grounding when the quarterback takes the ball from the center and throws it directly into what?
The ground.
The ground.
Yes.
But that's not intentional grounding. Yes, it is. He threw the ball into the ground with the intent of stopping the clock. Not playing football, stopping the clock. That's intentional grounding.
This is fascinating. Getting rid of spiking the ball.
And but the reason why I want to get rid of it is the lessons we're teaching people.
Right.
If you don't want to play anymore, just throw the ball into the ground.
Right, but they do want to play. In fact, they want to run another play afterwards.
They're not equipped to play in that moment.
To play another
It's
play
unreal
is what they're trying to do.
how we've slipped.
Yeah. How every day we get further and further from God, I guess, is where we
Well,
are.
that's it. Well, you don't even want to start there.
Yeah.
But and then just this whole thing like these intentional walks. You're just afraid to throw to the
Never
guy.
heard someone this angry about intentional walk.
You're afraid to throw to the guy. Just admit it.
Right. Well, I think they are. I think they are openly admitting it. I think that's sort of the point.
Throw the ball at the plate.
Right, but
Let's
You can
go.
throw at the guy and then
Right. Yeah,
Oh,
we
don't
could
even
do
get me
that.
started with
We
that.
could do that.
So anyway, go ahead with yours. I got two others too.
Oh, yeah? Go ahead. By all means. What else you got? This was enthralling.
It's just
Drew wants to change everything about sports.
No, what I want is for you to compete
Can you no longer
the entire time.
okay.
I just want
Here's
you
a
to
question.
compete. No, I want to make sure
I got
I'm
a
clear.
question.
I want to make sure I'm clear on
I
this.
have a question. Are you allowed to give someone a putt when you play golf?
Let me finish my water. You are allowed to give someone a putt in match play.
Right. I'm saying, shouldn't they have to? Aren't they taking the easy way out?
I'm not a.
Shouldn't you have to
I'm
putt?
not a huge.
where does it end?
Yeah.
Well, here's the difference. You're not allowed to concede your own putt.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to concede your own putt.
But shouldn't we just take it out of the conversation?
I
Everybody's
think
got
so
a putt?
personally.
Okay.
I don't like conceded putts. I just don't. I think it's a. I just think it's
super weird.
I do too.
Like just play.
The genesis of it at the beginning of golf, the genesis of it was pace of play. And the original genesis of it was because you couldn't move the balls.
That would take 6 hours to play golf anyway.
But you weren't allowed to move the ball in the old days.
Oh, okay. All right.
So if my ball was near your ball,
Yeah.
we would just say, just pick them up
right,
and move on.
yeah.
Because you weren't allowed to move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Once you were allowed to mark the ball on the green,
Kind of made no sense.
then it kind of, I don't like the conceded putt idea personally. I just don't.
I'm actually in agreement about that.
Yeah,
I'm actually in agreement.
I'm not a huge fan of it. But again, we do this in golf too. And this is another thing. We hit the ball into the divot. We hit the ball into a divot in the fairway, and there are people in golf who otherwise say I'm pretty astute at golf, who then say you should be allowed to move your ball out of that. No, you shouldn't. You hit it there. It ended up there. That is part of the game. Well, it's not supposed to be a divot in the fairway. Well, of course there isn't. But they are left there. And if your ball winds up there, it's unfortunate, but you got to play it from there. You shouldn't be allowed to drop your ball out of a divot in the fairway. You just shouldn't.
Okay. I'm interested in all of these things.
It's just like when your mortgage company sends you a mortgage and says your mortgage is going up by $24 a month. It shouldn't, but it does.
Okay. You don't have any recourse. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, all we are trying to do is just make things easier. How do we make it easier? And that's where people like him have grown up.
But there's a bit of a work smarter, not harder conversation to be had.
But this is all we do. How do we make it easier? It's just like the thing with the snow days.
Somehow we just made the Daytona 500 about
Can't have, because we got to make it easier.
I don't know what just happened.
Got to make it easier.
The only thing I was going to say today is we have a common sense problem. Take all the winter holidays and put them in the summer. We have a common sense problem in this country. Nobody wants another winter holiday. No one's asking for it. No one's interested in it. No one wants that day off. No one has any. We all can get together as adults and say we can celebrate the presidents in June.
Yeah, but you're saying that because you're in a cold weather state.
I understand, but so are
Florida has no idea. Have you been to Florida? No one down there knows anything.
That's a fact. We agree about that.
They don't know what day it is.
Of course, that's where the gentleman had all the bugs in his nose.
But they don't know what day it is there.
Correct.
Because they all run together.
I understand.
Same way in San Diego or Arizona. They don't know what day it is.
I understand all of those things.
You could say to the guy, hey, let's play golf on Wednesday, and you show up on Wednesday, and he's not there. And you text him, and you say, hey, dude, we're supposed to play golf today. And he says, oh, hell, I thought it was Thursday today. Like, they don't know what time it is.
Correct.
In Florida, because it's 78 and sunny every day.
We can't make our decisions around those people. We can't. If we did, our national food would be bath salts. Like, we can't make the decisions based on what they think in Florida. We can't do it. We have to use more common sense. No one wants more winter holidays. No one's interested in it. There are 3 states where this isn't a factor.
I thought this one this past weekend was good because it was Friday. We covered all the way out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and
What the hell are you doing over there?
Well, we got in-service day.
Of course you do. In-service day.
Faculty.
We need more of those.
I'm just saying, you're basing this on the weather in Maryland.
No.
And
the
in
majority
Florida,
of the country,
no one knows what day it is.
I'm not making decisions based on what's going on in Florida.
All right.
I think we all can agree about that. I think the rest of us in this country can say we're not going to allow Florida to set the tone for national discourse.
All I'm saying is they didn't know it was President's Day on Monday. They just knew it was 78 and sunny.
They don't know where they are most days. They're on drugs.
All right. Well, I wouldn't say that either.
Most of them.
All right.
Joining us now here on GCR as we try to somehow move forward. Of course, over the weekend, lost an icon in this area in college basketball in the great Lefty Driesell. And this man spent a lot of time covering Lefty Driesell. I had some really famous exchanges over the years with the Washington Post. It's always a pleasure to welcome back into the program Mr. John Feinstein, who's back with us now on GCR. John, it's Glenn, and I know you'll be sorry to hear that Drew Forrester is in with me this morning. Always appreciate you. Thanks for taking the time.
I think I can handle it, Glenn. I'll do the best I can. I want to know, you guys were talking about President's Day. I just want to, because this is a misnomer throughout our country. When was Abraham Lincoln born?
In February.
Yes.
But
I'll save some time here. Abraham Lincoln was born February 12th. George Washington was born February 22nd. And when I was a kid, which I know is 100 years ago, they were separate holidays. We got off for Lincoln's birthday. We got off for Washington's birthday. And they, when they put together all these Monday holidays, Memorial Day had been May 30th. Now it's the last Monday in May. And they created President's Day and combined Lincoln and Washington's birthdays. And the only problem I have with that, when I was a kid, I knew when Lincoln and Washington's birthdays were. My daughter, Jane, who's 13 now, had no idea until the other night when I explained to her why she had Monday off from school. Just a little bit of nonsensical.
So John's right. We should have off every Monday in February.
Right. No, hang on, John. This is
I'm certainly good with that.
This is my common.
So am my kids.
My common sense argument is we're not doing it on the day anyway. We pick a day in June and we call it President's Day, and we recognize all the presidents that day because nobody wants another holiday in the winter. There's nothing to do. Even Drew didn't play golf on Monday.
Well, I would have.
We don't need any more winter holidays. We just pick another date somewhere later on in the year where people would actually enjoy having the day off, and we call it President's Day, and then we can go to the beach or go swimming or whatever we're going to do.
I did play golf on Monday, actually. It's okay.
The only problem with that is that kids don't get a day off from school.
Right.
They don't need more days off of school. I've got kids now, John. They don't need more days off of school.
I'm gonna have my 13-year-old call you, and you two can debate that.
All right, we'll have that conversation at some point.
She's a better guest than I am, by the way.
I don't know about that. John, you obviously certainly, and I read the piece that you wrote for the Washington Post. There's a part of me, Lefty was such a personality and was such a larger-than-life figure that I almost worry that the basketball side of it, the coaching side of it, gets lost in the discourse about Lefty Driesell, that we forget how significant he was as a basketball coach beyond just his larger-than-life personality.
Well, and that's why I think in the third or fourth graph of the column I said he was an underrated coach.
Yeah.
And some of that was because he always had to coach against Dean Smith and against Norman Sloan, who was a great coach, even though he was a pain in the butt. Mike Krzyzewski later, Bill Foster, and other the list goes on, Terry Holland. And he never won a national championship, didn't go to a Final Four, 4 Elite Eight. We all know that probably would have been quite different if Moses Malone hadn't gone to the ABA. And I think you're right, though, that, the guy won 786 games. And when he retired, he was fourth on the all-time list of winning coaches. And we were all waiting for Dean Smith and Bob Knight to overtake Adolph Rupp. And at the Final Four one year, the year they had beaten Wisconsin when he was at Georgia State, I said, you know what? The heck with Knight, the heck with Dean, you're going to break Adolph Rupp's record. And he said, no, that never happened. And I said, why not? He said, because if I ever got close, that little sucker Dean would come back. So he was a great coach, though. Only coach in history who's ever won 100 games at 4 different schools.
John, I always ask people this that were kind of on the ground floor, so to speak. Tell us something about him that most of us don't know. That is just one of those best kept secrets about Lefty that maybe just didn't make it into the news all the time, but something about him you knew.
Well, he had a great generosity of spirit. Again, I mentioned in the last graph of the column, going to visit a recruit in Anacostia with him on a Halloween night. And these little kids came running up trick-or-treating. And Lefty took out his billfold and just peeled off every bill he had on the billfold and stuck them in the kids' bags. And when they ran away because they were so excited, he looked at me and his assistant coach Ron Bradley and said, damn, I hope I didn't have any big bills on there. Because he just was peeling off bills. He never looked, never worried. But the other thing is he couldn't hold a grudge. And, if I had a dollar for every time he called me in the morning, and this is when I was single, so I would sleep in, and started yelling at me about something, I'd be rich. And, he would say, Steve, I ain't never speaking to you again. Okay. So I'd go to practice that afternoon, and I'd walk in, and he'd walk over to me and say, what's up, Finey? You got a scoop? And that was the end of the anger. And he was just, he had a great ability to both empathize and sympathize with people. I saw it firsthand. I saw it secondhand. And he had you guys know this, he had a great sense of humor. He was funny. I wrote a piece when Jerry Faust, you remember Jerry Faust?
Yeah.
Became the football coach at Notre Dame. And it was a great story. High school coach, 7 day a week to church Catholic. And I, like a lot of other national reporters, went out for his first game against LSU. And Jerry was driving around in a golf cart saying hello to people. Hey, I'm Jerry Faust. Welcome to Notre Dame. Let's go kick LSU's butt today. And so I wrote that. A lot of other guys wrote that. And he was going to be the next Newt Rockne. And next morning, my phone rings at 7 o'clock. Feinstein, wake up. I got to get on you. Lefty, it's September. What can you be upset about in September? That story you wrote about that guy, Faust. Dan Devine won a national championship there. He's coached one game. And you write, he's Newt Rockne. And I said, what do you have against Jerry Faust? He said, nothing. But I got plenty against you. Well, as you guys know, 4 years later, Jerry got fired.
Right.
And the students turned on him. There were Faust signs in the dorm windows. And Lefty called me again. He said, Feinstein, got a question. Your buddy Faust riding around out there in a golf cart, or he get himself an almond tank?
You know,
and that was Lefty.
No doubt. That was Lefty. Of course, we're checking with John Feinstein here on GCR, and I know Drew's going to want to ask you something about golf in a second. So before we move on from Lefty.
Lefty was a terrible golfer.
Was he? Was he?
He used to say when people would ask him about golf, he'd say, I like to play in those tournaments where you hit it in the woods, you can just go play your partner's ball.
So
we all like those.
Yeah. Before I move on, before I move on from Lefty, the importance of his place in basketball history, and we chatted with John Lucas and Len Elmore and Tom McMillan the other day, specifically, almost not that he was trying to make history, not that he was trying to make some sort of political statement, but just in his desire to win basketball games, what he did for integration in a part of the country that was reluctant to be involved with integration at that point.
Yeah, you're right. Dean Smith's been given a lot of credit, deservedly so, for his role in integrating North Carolina and the ACC. But Lefty was recruiting black players at Davidson in the early 60s. And at that point, ironically, the only school in the ACC that started to recruit black players was Maryland, with Billy Jones. And Lefty didn't care if you were black, white, green, or blue. If you could help him win games, he wanted you. And that's the way it should be, right? But even today, it's not 100% true in our country. And so, Lefty was great that way. And hired black assistant coaches, hired George Raveling.
Yep.
When there were no black assistant coaches in the ACC at that point. You're absolutely right about it. Lefty was completely colorblind, and I wish we all were that way.
It's weird how it feels like we don't have any more of those kind of coaches, and obviously not just Lefty. You could talk about Bobby Knight, but it feels like we just don't have the characters we used to have. I don't know what's happened to that, but why is that?
Well, it's a number of things. One, they've all become TV stars, and so they all want to be careful that they don't say something that'll cost them the money that they're making.
Right.
As you can, especially on Twitter these days. And the other thing is, coaches have to be very careful with how they deal with their players, because Tom Izzo said to me not that long ago, we're at the point now, if I yell at one of my players in practice, he may be in the transfer portal tomorrow. Now, that's a fairly recent development. But you've seen it. Most people, and also, let's be honest, most basketball coaches aren't by nature funny. Valvano was funny. Lefty was funny. You mentioned Bob Knight. He was a character for sure, but not like Lefty. He was a character with malice. Lefty was a character without malice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I can honestly say I knew both of them pretty damn well. But everybody is almost scripted now. I had a coach say to me that, a football coach, by the way, that I was having a dispute with his SID. And he said, he's the best SID I've ever had. This is a good coach. And I said, no, he's not. I said, because this is a local kid I want to write about for the Post, who grew up reading the Post, and he's taking care of, bloggers, and not taking care of the Washington Post. I'm sorry, he's still the Washington Post. And he said he's the best. I said, why is he the best SID you've ever had? And he said, well, before I have a press conference, he always gives me notes on what to say and what topics to avoid. And I said, you don't need that. You're a smart guy. He's been a coach for a while, still is. And, but that's the thing. Everybody wants to script everything nowadays. And can you imagine if Lefty was coaching today and had that guy as his SID?
Right, this is what you have to say.
Forget that. This is what you say, this is what you don't say.
Yeah, forget that.
And more often than not, the coach is a lot smarter than the SID.
John, are you convinced the way that I am, speaking of college athletics, are you convinced that the days of contracts are coming, that like the fallout from the Dartmouth thing is going to end up being that contracts come to college sports?
There's going to be something. I don't know what. I just heard Jay Billis the other day saying the NCAA could solve all its problems tomorrow just by making players sign, 2-3-year contracts, have a buyout. And there's nobody I respect more in college athletics than Jay. And it's not because he went to Duke, it's because he's Jay. But there would be complications. There would be union issues. There would be tax issues. Because what the players forget is if they're signing contracts, they're going to be paying taxes. Not only on the contract, but on the cost of their scholarship. So it's a very, very complicated situation. And it certainly isn't going to help anything that, what's the name of the new commissioner, President Charlie, the former governor of
Baker, Charlie Baker.
Charlie Baker, thank you. He's spending all his time in Washington trying to convince Congress to cut back on the NIL. Well, that's not happening. It was the Supreme Court that ruled on NIL. So, 9-0, by the way. It's not like it was some kind of split between the Democrats and the Republicans. Even Clarence Thomas, for Christ's sake, voted that NIL should be part of the law. And so it's not. Is something coming? Are there changes coming still? Absolutely. But what exact form they'll take exactly, I honestly don't know, because I don't think any of us know.
John, speaking of Jay, let me ask you about the other Jay Monahan. Do you think he survives this in the long run, this PGA Tour Live alliance or non-alliance? Is he surviving this whole thing?
I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest with you, because he botched it right from the beginning, and still hasn't fixed it. We don't know what form the final deal is going to take, but he surrendered to Live and to the Saudis, and he had good reason to be fired. And he's still hanging in there. I think one of the reasons he's still hanging in there is he has some kind of ridiculous buyout. I think it might be $44 million or something that they'd have to pay him if they fired him or he quote unquote resigned. So long run, I don't think he survives, but short run, I thought he'd be gone by now.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Like, how is this all going to end? By the way, like
you just asked me another question. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, right.
And everybody says I'm know it.
No, I think there's
it's going to end with some kind of AFL NFL merger. That's the way it has to end, because the tour cannot go on without all the stars who jump to Live.
right.
And Liv's certainly not going to survive in its current condition. And the one thing that the tour is right about is you can't give world ranking points to 54 hole events. You know, it'd be like what they did a couple of years ago with double headers, saying, well, we're going to make 7-inning games count the same as 9-inning games. You just can't do that. There has to be a line where everybody's playing on the same playing field.
I guess the one thing I would say, and I was on this from the very beginning when they first even started talking about Live and they poached, the first guy or two. I kept saying, why wouldn't the tour just play from January or even February through August, like they kind of sort of are now, and say to the Live guys, if after Labor Day you want to go play in Dubai and Morocco and Japan and Australia and New Zealand, knock yourself out. What you can't do is play in the U.S. / North America. I don't understand. Maybe they did try to do this, and I just don't know it. But why wouldn't they have tried to create two leagues?
Well, Drew, you remember the days of what was called the silly season.
Yeah, right.
Where guys played in November and December and guaranteed events, team events, stuff like that. Fred Couples, remember, was Mr. November.
Sure.
Because he used to win like 3 times in November and December.
Right.
So it wouldn't have been that hard to negotiate some kind of deal along the lines you're talking about. But what I know from players, Monahan didn't see the threat. He didn't understand the threat. You know, that when you have endless money, you don't just go down in flames, because things can go wrong, you can make mistakes, but so you reach deeper into your pocket, and you're still not close to losing money, or to losing enough money to matter. So I don't understand. Monahan, according to everybody I've talked to, was not proactive when the threat came along. He was reactive. And the the biggest reactive move was to fold. And here were Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods, the 2 most prominent players in the game. I don't care how many tournaments Scotty Scheffler might win, saying, you know, attacking Liv, standing up for Monahan, standing up for the tour, and then he goes and puts a knife in their back. Says, hey, guess what, fellas? I made a deal. So you're right, Drew. It shouldn't have been that hard. But now they got a total mess.
Well, there you go. And at least they don't have any problems running that Scottsdale tournament. At least that thing is going well, and everybody loves it.
Yeah, because only about 2/3 of the fans are drunk.
Right, correct. Which is nice.
That's probably. I'll take the over on that.
Yeah, right. John, what can I plug for you?
Yeah, I would too. Well, you could 2 things. One, the David Faraday book I wrote last year will be out in paperback in the spring. It got great reviews, mostly because of Faraday.
Speaking of characters, right?
And I'm working on. Oh my God, is he a character? He cracks me up all the time. But his story is also tragic, as I think you know. He lost a child to drug overdose.
Right.
He's been an alcoholic since he was a teenager. I mean, it's a compelling story, in my totally unbiased opinion.
And John, you know what's interesting about him is he was a really good player. People totally forget he was a Ryder Cupper. He was a really good player.
Not only was he a Ryder Cupper, but he beat Payne Stewart in the singles.
Right.
When he was on the Ryder Cup team. I mean, he won 5 times in Europe. He finished 4th in the British Open. I mean, he talks about himself as if he's a 10 handicap.
Right.
But he was a damn good player. And then he got hurt. You know, he hurt his back and couldn't really play effectively again. That's why he ended up in television.
Right.
Was because he just couldn't hit the ball anymore. You know, with any distance. But and then I'm driving right now to Princeton, New Jersey, because I'm working on a book, believe it or not, on Ivy League football. That'll be out next fall. Never had more fun doing a book because of the kids. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of dummies playing football in the Ivy League. And there's something. Here's a little trivia question. How many Ivy League players do you think were in the NFL last year? 2022. I don't have the stats for 2023 yet.
So yeah, Yoshevich wasn't in the NFL at that point then. So I'll say 6.
That's not a bad guess. 23.
Wow.
Yeah. They play, and one of the reasons people don't understand the level of play, and I saw it up close all season, is that the Ivy League presidents, who are smarter than the rest of us, just ask them, won't let the champion of the league play in postseason. So they don't get a chance to show the country how good they can be. Last year, Holy Cross went to the semifinals of the FCS tournament. And this September, this season, Harvard beat them at Holy Cross. You know, and I'm not saying that happens all the time, but the point is the best teams in the Ivy League are certainly good enough to compete with the best teams in FCS, but they don't get the chance to. So it was a lot of fun, and I hope the book demonstrates how not only that these are great kids, which I think people wouldn't be shocked by, but that these guys can play.
I look forward to it. When's it going to be out?
October.
We'll look forward to it. We will certainly be talking about it then. John Feinstein, always appreciate you, sir. Thanks for taking the time for us this morning. John,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely. John Feinstein with us here on GCR. You got to go?
Pretty soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I got stuff going on.
Yeah? like important stuff or just?
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the tee at like 12:10.
That is important. I don't disagree with
I'm
that.
kidding.
You want to plug something?
I'm trying to change my flight.
Where are you going?
Flight. I'm going to Houston.
What are you doing in Houston?
What do you think I'm doing
Playing
in
golf,
Houston?
right? Why would I even ask? You're playing with Fred Couples?
No, but Nancy will be down there.
Is it the week of the?
No, it's not.
Okay.
No. But I got to talk to Nancy.
Wait, is that
Jimmy?
I know. All right, whatever.
255.
Drew'sMorningDish.com.
Yes.
You doing the golf show on Sunday?
No. Right?
I think there's a.
I think
is
you
there a
might be.
Maryland game?
What?
I think
No.
I think you're scheduled.
I don't think so.
I'll double
This is
check.
not shtick.
I'll
I
double
don't
check.
think that's the case.
I think we're not scheduled, but I thought you were.
That's wrong.
I thought there was a Maryland
That
game.
was
I know there's a Maryland game.
Okay.
But I thought the schedule said everything up until then, and then all right. Well, maybe Drew's right.
Check for me.
He's never been right before.
Check
but
for
maybe
me,
this
'cause
will be the week.
I can't. I probably can't do it Sunday. So
It's gonna be
check for me.
Probably.
killing it over here.
Oh, I got $50 back.
I don't know why I can only open I can only open schedules through 2023.
No,
Yeah,
go
okay.
all the way to the right.
I'm trying to.
I
What do you
see.
think I'm doing over
I
here?
don't think so because the
Alright,
Maryland
very
coverage
good.
starts
Yeah.
at
All right, you're lucky.
And I can't do it. anyway.
11:30 is when Maryland
you
coverage
got
starts.
You got
Right,
lucky.
so I got my flight changed.
All right, good news.
Oh, they want you on it.
I got
No, that-
$50 credit.
All right. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com. When we come back in, we will be chatting with Ben Verlander, get his thoughts on where the Orioles are pitching
Nice
wise
brother.
going into the season.
Doctor the
It's
ball.
a real shame he can't stick around.
Doctor in the ball.
Glenn Clark Radio. Why bet with the big boy? Kill it. Dynamite. We're
Yeah,
just
I know.
we got, what is going on?
What happened?
It's happened like why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
There's so much focus on sports betting these days, but I want to talk about an area that nobody wants to gamble on, where you choose to go out and spend your hard-earned dollars to eat. The Costas Inn is no gamble at all. The quality on their menu is outstanding, and the value is off the charts with a great and varied list of specials Monday through Friday. And the staples of the menu, whether it's salads, burgers, fish, they're all fantastic. And I haven't even mentioned the crabs or crab cakes yet. So check out the menu for yourself at CostasInn.com. When choosing a place to dine, never gamble on the food you put in your belly. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or call 410-477-1975 for reservations and your steamed crab orders.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Discover your next favorite beer crafted in the heart of Charm City. At Guilford Hall Brewery, we believe beer should be flavorful and easy to enjoy. Our meticulously crafted lagers and ales are derived from centuries-old European brewing traditions, a staple for both the seasoned beer aficionado or a novice hophead. Experience beer styles that dare to showcase the exceptionality of simplicity. Visit our restaurant and brewery at 1611 Guilford Avenue or view our menu and tap map online at guilfordhall.com. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and on the cover we look at the promise of spring for the Baltimore Orioles as Todd Karpovich and others shine the light on the team's hopes to take the next step towards championship contention and what reinforcements could still be coming. Plus, Pressbox personalities offer suggestions to David Rubenstein about stewarding the franchise. Also inside, Bo Smolka on how the Ravens defense could evolve with new coordinator Zach Orr. And we meet lacrosse players from the men's and women's programs across the state. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
From John Proctor. Before you leave, Proctor says, Drew. Yeah, right. Go ahead. Say the. We got to turn his mic on.
Let me hear what my buddy said.
Said Drew's just mad at how easy these guys have it because when he got his driver's license, your bare feet drove the car through the open floor.
Flintstones. Proctor's so funny.
Go ahead.
What times did he do back
there
in Boys Town?
Now, good news. Good news.
I like Proctor.
Hang on a second.
I do like Proctor when he sleeps.
When he sleeps. Good news here.
Go ahead.
Proctor said, you really can bet on anything these days. For example, I have $10 on Drew saying, when you do back in Boys Town line on the show. Unfortunately, it only pays out $2. Yeah, the odds weren't great.
Proctor's a good man. So was the son of Sam.
There we go. Anything else? You got to just say the Coke line.
Just go ahead. I don't have any way to get it in there.
Yeah.
But no.
I don't really like the Coke line
We'll
anymore.
just end it. We'll just end it on those three.
Yeah.
The greatest hits.
And you're good. Drew
It's like doing start the buses at high school basketball games.
Right, start the buses.
Right. Coward Hall was beating Loyola by 8 with like a minute 50 to go, minute 40 to go.
Still a little bit of time there.
And they started doing start the buses. And I'm texting Ethan, and I'm like,
you better.
You don't start the buses with a minute 42 left in the game when you're winning by 8 in high school basketball.
All right. There's Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com, stopping by this morning. Let's talk some Orioles this morning. Joining us now, friend of ours, of course, know him from Fox Sports. He is Mr. Ben Verlander, and he's back with us here on GCR. Ben, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Of course. Always love coming on.
Hey, I'm in this weird place where, we were all very excited about Corbin Burnes, and we were all buying in. And then I don't want to oversell the significance of the Kyle Bradish injury because I still think the Orioles are good and they're competitive. But I'm in this weird place where I don't think it's wrong to suggest that the totality of what they have pitching-wise probably isn't quite enough to win a World Series right now. And I'm actually oddly more concerned about the bullpen than I am the starters at the moment. And you went and got Corbin Burnes, who's only here for 1 year, so you kind of were saying this year has to matter. I feel like it requires them to do a little bit more once they went out and got Corbin Burnes dealing with these injuries.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. And, I've been on here enough times for you guys to know, I think I've been begging for the Orioles to do something for a year and a half at this point, and they finally did it. They finally went and made the Corbin Burnes move, which I felt was really a necessity for this team. It's so ready to compete and be good. But, the thing is, once the calendar turns to October, it becomes a different sort of ball game, and winning in the playoffs, there's a recipe that works, and it's having some studs in the rotation and at least a serviceable bullpen. So I really liked the rotation the way it was with Burnes, Bradish, and Rodriguez. But once Bradish goes down, and look, I know there's some optimism and some things being said, and it's a sprain, not a strain or a tear. But, man, I get worried sick anytime I hear anything with the UCL.
Yep.
And it almost feels like once you start hearing anything with the UCL for a pitcher, it almost feels like a ticking time bomb. And I hope that's wrong. I hope he ends up coming back and pitching. But I still feel like, and literally, the show of mine that just came out yesterday, I talked all about the Orioles and their situation, and I just feel like even before the injury, they were in a perfect position to go get a guy like a Jordan Montgomery. Yeah. And now it almost feels like the same necessity it felt like with getting a Corbin Burnes. And then if Bradish does come back, then you have a perfect rotation, and then you can slide somebody into the bullpen that will probably need a little help come October. So it does feel like something needs to be done for sure.
Of course, that show is the Flippin' Bats podcast, and you can check that out. But what you just said, I'm all in on Jordan Montgomery. Let's work under the assumption that they can't spend that much money yet until the new ownership is in place, although that should be, it feels like any day now, any week now, whatever that is. Can they piece their way through? Like, would it make sense for them to say, hey, if we wait on that, let's sign Michael Lorenzen to at least throw more innings at this problem, allow Tyler Wells maybe to go back to the bullpen, because I keep coming back to the bullpen as the area where, like, how are you not concerned? You don't have Felix Bautista. You don't have DL Hall. Yanier Cano was a shell of himself by the end of the season, and I know that Craig Kimbrell pitched well, but are you counting on that this deep in his career, that Craig Kimbrell's going to be that guy? I'm still uncomfortable with it.
Yeah. I think the bullpen is still a question mark. And look, I don't think, and you said it earlier, the Corbin Burnes move to me was finally a full pedal to the metal because of the contract situation, right? He has 1 year on his deal. And aside from whether he gets re-signed or extended by the Orioles or not, the fact that he does have 1 year and they went after him says that they are all in on this year. And as it sits right now, with the way the pitching is set up, they're not the team that is ready to win a World Series, in my opinion. And that's because of I think they needed Bradish to be Bradish the Radish of last year, and now you lose him, and then it just moves everybody up, right? Everybody. And I'm not concerned about Grayson Rodriguez. I'm not concerned about some of the other guys in that rotation, right? Like Dean Kramer is perfectly capable of scooting up and eating some innings. But where it does affect things is the guy that you have to slot into the 5 spot. And by the way, John Means as well. So the guy that you have to slot into the 4 spot, the 5 spot, the guy that you have to take away from the bullpen. So then you get to, let's say you get to October, and let's say Bradish is back. But then what are you doing with the bullpen? Who are you sliding there? So there are question marks, and I feel like there became even more question marks with this Bradish situation. And I hope he pitches this year. I hope everything's okay and he dominates again, and then the Orioles are in a really good place. But as it sits right now, there's just a lot of question marks that can either be answered by crossing your fingers and hoping that everybody comes back healthy, or can be answered before the season starts on March 28th by going out and getting some help that I think is desperately going to be needed. And then if Bradish comes back, you're in an even better position, right? Imagine a guy like a Jordan Montgomery or a Lorenzen that comes in and fills in perfectly, and let's say Bradish comes back, then you're in a great position. Then you combine everybody, and then you're in a really good place, and then you add depth, and that's what ends up winning in October, is a rotation with a 2-3 studs at the top and a bullpen that can at least get you some outs to the back end and get you to your closer. And I don't feel like right now the Orioles are set up like that, but I don't feel like they're far off at all.
Ben Verlander with us on GCR. It's hilarious to me when somebody says, well, then you'd have too many starting. Like, no, there is no such thing. That is not an actual problem. You have created that in your mind. That is not real. Ben, there was a report out of the Miami Herald that the Orioles had been poking around on Jesus Luzardo, but they balked because the Marlins asked for Samuel Basallo. And look, Samuel Basallo, some people think could be the number 1 prospect in baseball a year from now. I don't know. He'd have to take a step, but given how good he is so young, I understand it. I guess my more broad question is, if it's not Montgomery, if the problem is the money, is it time to be willing to say we can't just constantly hold on to everyone? And yes, they did deal Joey Ortiz, but that was almost like they were forced to, because Ortiz was 26 and was still playing in the minor leagues. They didn't have room for him. They had to move on from that. But is it time to say, hey, if this is the cost, and I don't know if Luzardo is the right guy or not, but he's been good, is it time to say, hey, if it costs us a big price, we've already got these guys here. We can't just keep trying to hold on to every single one of them.
Yeah, well, this is where the Mike Elias blueprint comes into play, right? Like, this is what he did in Houston with a lot of top draft pick talent and a farm system that, over the course of them being really bad and losing hundreds of games over the course of 3-4 years, built up a farm system, and then it became time to go all in. And to be honest, the Justin move in 2017 for the Astros feels very, very similar to the Corbin Burnes move now. Mm-hmm. It's finally an omission. It's finally like we're ready. Let's do this. But then it just becomes a tricky situation of, okay, we are in a really good place where we made this move, our farm system's in place, and I do think I think the question becomes like, are you trying to win right now in the next 2 years? Are you trying to win the World Series this year, or are you trying to have an open window for a decade? And that's where things get tricky, because it's not often that you can win over the course of a decade. Now, he proved it. He proved that he can build it with the Astros, and they've become one of the most dominant. It's been one of the most dominant decades in the history of baseball for Houston. And that writing is very, very clearly on the wall for the Baltimore Orioles to be able to do that. But during the season, I have John Smoltz on my show every single week, and he's a guy that obviously the Braves 14 in a row in that window, and they ended up winning one in all of those years. And he's very much so like, look, you never know how long the window is going to be open. If you are able to win, and he specifies, like, don't trade the whole farm, but if your window is open, go for it. It's about winning a championship when you feel you are able to. And I do feel like with the number one farm system and plenty of talent down there, you don't have to trade the farm system to get better, but you are at a position where you can maybe trade a few pieces to be able to make your team currently that much better. And I really would love to see the Orioles be able to do that. They've been blessed with enough good draft picks that have come up and proven themselves, but prospects aren't always that way. Prospects are suspects until they come up to the big leagues and prove it. And I feel like they have all of the talent in the world down in the minors and an ability to make some trades to make this team a little bit better. Again, doesn't have to be your 1 through 5 prospects, but start making some moves to help this team that is ready to win a World Series.
The excitement about Luzardo in specific is much like Dylan Cease, the control, but is he that guy? Like, is he really a top-of-the-rotation type of pitcher, or is he a guy that had one really good season and still has a lot to prove that that's actually who he is?
I think there's the question becomes, well, how's he going to mature in terms of pitching-wise? He has top-of-the-rotation stuff.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Jesus Luzardo has ace-of-a-staff type stuff. He's still young, so it's how does he mature as a pitcher? And I think a pitching coach is a big part of that. I think being in a rotation right now with a guy like Sandy Alcantara, with the Orioles being in a rotation with a guy like Corbin Burnes does wonders for a guy like that, as well as his pitching coach. So, you'd rather have this stuff than the opposite, right? Like, you'd rather start with ace-of-a-staff type stuff and then hope he matures into that kind of pitcher, as opposed to having a guy that has the makeup of an ace on the mound and the pitchability, but maybe just lacks the stuff. You'd rather start from the opposite and work your way into becoming an ace. And I think he has the ability to be able to do that. And I hope he's able to become that guy, because, man, he is just a massive lefty that throws hard with disgusting stuff. I think he's really good. And to the point we were talking about earlier, let's say in a world in which he gets traded this year to the Orioles, let's say that stuff remains nasty. He's just not the best, most reliant starter all year. Well, then guess what you can do in the playoffs? You can use a guy like that, like Andrew Miller was used in Cleveland for years, to bridge the gap from 6, 7, 8, and just get to the closer in the ninth. There's just so many more options, and like we already said, there is never too much starting pitching on a roster.
No doubt about that. In the meantime, if Kyle Bradish is going to be out, then the spotlight kind of goes to Grayson Rodriguez. And I guess the question is, how ready do you believe Ben Grayson is to step up and solidify himself as truly the top of the ace type of pitcher that we believe he has the talent to be?
I think he's ready. I'm very, very high on Grayson Rodriguez. I think the second half of the season last year was really all I needed to see. I was already high on him, just stuff-wise. He was still, obviously, and still is, very young, but I think he figures something out. And I think the best thing that could have happened to his career is Corbin Burnes coming over to the team. Corbin Burnes is a Cy Young winner, one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball. And to have a guy like that, look, I know the Bradish injury is frustrating and it just creates more question marks. But, man, Corbin Burnes, Grayson Rodriguez, 1-2 of a rotation is absolutely disgusting. Grayson Rodriguez is going to learn a lot from Corbin Burnes. I think he's going to get better and better. I think he has Cy Young-type stuff. I think he has a Cy Young coming in his future at some point. I really do think he's ready. I'm really, really excited to watch him pitch this year.
All right, Ben Verlander. We believe that that's possible, and we certainly like hell hope that that's correct. Ben, the team that's not getting enough attention, before I let you go, the team that's not getting enough attention going into the season that you believe is on the cusp of making a serious jump in 2024 is?
Team that's not getting a lot of attention that I think is going to make a serious jump. I'll go with the man, my heart wants to go with the Detroit Tigers, but
Wow.
I don't think they're there quite yet. I'm going to go I think the Reds. I think the Reds are if you look at projections and stuff right now, the Reds are right there around the 3 to 4 spot in the NL Central. I think they're going to be really good. I think the offense is going to really come around. They're very young. I think Ellie's going to have a really good year. I think Ellie's going to start to establish himself as a future star in this league. I think they added some necessary pitching. I still don't think they're complete yet as a pitching rotation,
Right.
but I think they can be serviceable. And I think the Reds could be potentially a playoff team. I really do.
I get it. The talent is overwhelming. It's all there. I think the question is the pitching. But, look, obviously it doesn't hurt to have a Hunter Green in the mix. So they're intriguing. They're certainly a team that I'm going to be excited to watch during the course of the season. And I know everybody wants to jump on the Royals bandwagon, and they did make some shrewd kind of under-the-radar pitching moves, but it still seems like it still seems early to me for the Royals, right?
Well, to me, that's a team. I want to give a ton of credit to a team like the Royals, who loses 100 games the year prior, and you mentioned Dylan Cease a little while ago. Dylan Cease is coming on Flippin' Bats on my show tomorrow, and we talked all about the state of baseball, and we got on a conversation about the pitch clock, and then I asked him what is something he would like to see, something else he'd like to see changed in baseball. And what he said was, I think I want more teams trying to win, and not in terms of players. I think we're all understanding that there are certain front offices that just don't buy in as much as they should. And we did end up talking about the Royals and how, yes, they lost 100 games last year, and is adding a few players, and they added a good bit. Is that going to win you the division? Is it going to win you the World Series? Probably not, at least not yet. But what it does is at least puts a product out on the field that fans can be proud of, and at least puts a product out on the field that can go out and win ball games on any given night. And it at least allows some excitement when the Royals announce a new stadium and a surrounding area. And it just feels like that's what's like. There's a few teams out there that just aren't willing to do that at all. And it's not just the Oakland A's that I'm talking. There's just other teams that it feels like never, okay, well, what's the point of adding 5 new guys to our team if it's going to net us 10 extra wins? That still doesn't win us the division. Well, that's not exactly the point. Just evening the playing field, putting a good product out there for fans to be proud of and something to look forward to. And I think the Royals deserve a ton of credit. And I'm not going to say now they make the playoffs. I'm not going to say that. But I think they're going to be a competitive team, and that front office deserves a lot of credit for making a 100-plus loss team much, much better during the offseason.
You didn't happen to ask Dylan Cease if he likes crab cakes, did you?
I did ask him about all the trade speculation.
All right. And we will look forward to that. That's the Flippin' Bats podcast, and that'll be available tomorrow, you said?
Yeah, that comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow with Dylan Cease, who a lot of people still holding out hope could end up being a Baltimore Oriole before all is said and done. At Ben Verlander, of course, is how you follow him. Ben, anything else I can plug for you, sir?
No, all good, my friend. Always love coming on. Thanks for plugging Flippin' Bats like you did. It's going to be year 4 of the show, and as I think you know, and hopefully a lot of people know, it's just so I talk about everybody and every team, and it's just a positive spin on the game of baseball, and I love it, and I'm really, really excited for this year, and I hope you guys check it out.
Ben, always appreciate you, man. Thanks for hopping on with us.
Of course. Thanks, man. Always love it.
Ben Verlander with us here on GCR from Fox Sports. Some interesting thoughts. I'm trying to find the right way to say it because I don't want it to sound like I'm panicked. We had that conversation last week on the radio show. I'm not panicked about the Orioles. I still think that they're good as constituted. But you made the Corbin Burnes move. I didn't. I would have. But you did. You made that move. Love it. But it's a 1-year move. At the moment, we wanted to believe that that was enough. But with the Kyle Bradish thing lingering, and my concerns that I still had, I had bullpen concerns when I thought Tyler Wells could help there. Now I'm almost in the, I'm not going to say panicked, but like serious concerns about the bullpen. Why make the Burnes move for 1 year to not follow it up with anything? And again, you can say, well, they have time. They do have time. And there is certainly likely to be somebody who is an internal option. We joked about the Banner writing about Wanderson Charles the other day, but like I get it. There's going to be someone who is not on our radar that's going to overperform, and we're going to look back in 3 months and say, wow, where did that guy come? Like, that's going to happen. It happens for almost every team, but particularly a team like this that appears to have some sort of special sauce when it comes to getting more from pitchers. But they need more than one of those guys. It's just incongruent to me to make a move for a 1-year player and not follow it up with, and here are a couple of other things we're going to do to fortify it because this year has to matter. Or else, why'd you go get Corbin Burnes? And I get it. It's not always World Series. That's not the only prism. But it shouldn't be far off from that. I'm not asking for... I almost laughed when he said, well, if you go get a Jordan Montgomery or a Michael Lorenzen, well, those are two very different things, clearly. But I would at this point live with Michael Lorenzen because it's at least acknowledging the issue. Now,
there's a bit of a hole, yeah.
Yeah, how far does it go to solve it? That's a completely different conversation.
Get no-hitter Michael Lorenzen?
Yeah, that'd be great, right? The guy from the first half of last year was really good. And at this point, I don't even know that it does bump Tyler Wells back to the bullpen. I would think that Cole Irvin would be the first guy to go. Like, if Cole Irvin can help in the back end of the bullpen, let's talk about that, right? Like, I still think that adding another no one is going to be inspired by adding Ryan Stanek. No one's going to say, well, that was the move. But it's acknowledging it. It's saying, we get it, we understand. And we need to throw more things at the wall to see if they can stick. Everybody, who was the cat that the Angel signed that everybody was? Stevenson. Stevenson.
Yes.
That was the guy, right, on the bullpen market. Would have been great to do that. Well, I guess Hader was the guy, but you know what I mean. That was the move. You didn't make that move. I still think you should make a move. Address the fact that, like, there's an issue there. Acknowledge it. Not just say, well, we hope everything works out. I think we've got to be able to be practical about this. They have time. I get it. The games don't start. The spring training games haven't even started yet. The real games don't start for still over a month. I do understand. I'm not panicked about it. But I can point out it's odd. I wouldn't feel the same way if the trade they had made was for Cease, because that's a 3-year window, right? They created this 1-year prism when they decided that Burnes was the guy. Again, all in, all on board, but Burnes alone, particularly dealing now with this potential for there to be no Bradish, did not a World Series winner make. The bullpen thing was still real. It felt like you needed to deal with it when you had Tyler Wells in the mix. Now you don't even have that. It's relevant. Discussing it does not make me panicked or make me a bad person or I don't trust them or anything like that. It's just a conversation. That's all. All right, still to come today, we're going to chat with Gary Baxter, former Raven. He's doing something really cool. Really remarkable to try to help folks that need an advantage and doing it with energy affordability. I'm not sure I'm going to understand it because I'm stupid, but I'm going to let Gary Baxter explain it to me. It's a really cool thing that a former Baltimore Raven is doing, so he'll join us here in a minute. Today's show also brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. What's going on at Live Casino and Hotel, Griffin?
Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel is the place to be this weekend and really every night because it is the ultimate spot to watch your favorite teams and sports on the massive 100-foot media wall. You can order up your favorite game day bites and take a sip from the signature crushes and extensive beer selections, all just steps away from the FanDuel Sportsbook. So watch, wager, and win at Sports and Social at Live Casino in Hotel, Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
That was the same.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flight's Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Jeremy Kahn here. The ultimate sports betting experience in Maryland is at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook. Join me at either location in Canton or in Towson and place your bets in person and be a part of the action. It's the best in-class sports wagering experience, complete with the ultimate TV package, ensuring you can catch every game all day, every day. Their state-of-the-art facilities bring Las Vegas energy right here to Maryland just in time for postseason football. So visit the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton and Towson and elevate your game day experience and hang out with me to bet, watch, and win at the Turtle.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
If you missed it, Stan the Fan Charles and Luke Jackson got together with UMBC baseball coach Liam Bowen earlier this week. You can find that show, facebook.com/PressBoxSports, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. We didn't talk about the Zay Flowers thing at the top of the show. I still don't know how much there is to say. The word is that the investigation is suspended because, I mean, I get the speculation will be because the alleged victim will not cooperate. And I think we've seen situations like this play out a lot. I don't know what happens next. I get that the totality of the situation make it seem like it's unlikely that that Zay Flowers would be released or heavily penalized. But I don't know that the NFL can do nothing either, and the Ravens can do nothing. I don't know how they handle this. It's an awkward situation to be in. I've said before, it's an awkward spot to be in to try to go around the legal system. The commissioner has been given the ability to make unilateral decisions, and it will be interesting to see if he chooses to do something or if they say, well, there's just not enough evidence for us to do anything with. In the end, a phone call was made to Massachusetts police in which there was an allegation that an NFL player assaulted a woman. There is something there, and I don't know what the NFL or the Ravens do about that. And we will see. I don't have a strong opinion to offer. I think it's a very difficult situation to deal with. We will see. So that's all I've got. I don't think it's a day of celebration. I don't think it's anything along those lines. I hope for the best for the parties involved. That's all I can give you. Let's switch gears. Joining us now here on GCR, man, one of our favorites. This guy was a great guy to cover as a Baltimore Raven. He was a lot of fun to watch play. And, of course, on top of that, he was involved with a pretty significant moment in Ravens-Steelers history, as it was his fault that we ever got Ben Roethlisberger after he took out Tommy Maddox years ago. Now he's doing something really amazing for folks that need some help in the fight against poverty when it comes to energy affordability. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the program former Raven, Mr. Gary Baxter, who's with us now here on GCR. Gary, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Gary, this is fascinating to me. EnPAC, the Energy and Poverty Awareness Center. I guess take me back, like, when did something like this get on your radar? How did you get involved? Why did this become something that you wanted to make a part of your life?
Well, so it goes back to the Winter Storm Uri back in 2021 down in Texas when, we had a one-of-a-kind blizzard, and it froze everything. It froze everything from windmills to solar panels to everything on the grid was froze, and I was without power for 7 days, without water, power, and natural gas for the 7 days. And at that point, I realized that something was like terribly wrong, and that's what got my attention and said, what can be done? What can we do? And just trying to figure out, who suffers from a loss like this, and the impact was very devastating. And so that's what got me involved in this, and that's what made us come up with EnPAC and form it and develop it and try to get it out to help people.
But hang on, Gary. I thought everybody was just able to run off to Cancun that week and avoid that. You weren't? No, I kid, of course. I kid. So diving in, what is EnPAC? And how do you go about trying to address this inefficiency?
Well, EnPAC is Energy Poverty Awareness Center, and basically it is focused on reliability and affordability for minorities, especially in minority communities, because minorities are 43%, impacted by the power and just loss of energy. And then you have a lot of minority communities really get disconnected from power because they can't afford it. It's very, this is just the energy cost is too much. And one of the things that we want to look at is how do we lower the energy costs? How do we have reliable and affordable energy as we make energy transition? And so we have to factor in all of these things and we don't want a repeat of Winter Storm Uri to happen to any community, yet alone, especially in the Baltimore, Maryland area.
This is really fascinating to me. Gary Baxter is with us here on GCR. So how? This is going to sound like such a dumb guy question because I don't know. How do we go about it? Like, it seems like you're fighting against the establishment, right? Like, you're fighting against the number of times that we have dealt with this and the rising energy costs, and there's no competition. There's nothing that we can do. How do you go about fighting against something like this?
Well, it's about having more options. We need energy options, and we need proven energy options, right? And so having more options, and what does that look like? From a power generation standpoint, I believe that we should have as many energy options as possible to one where it's reliable and affordable, and then for the case that we can actually see that it is making a difference in the community. So I'm okay with wind, solar. You need natural gas. You need those options, more options on the table, and those options that you have on the table can be make it to where it is reliable and affordable and not just one size fit all. But how do you, as we make energy transition, how do you make those reliable and affordable options affordable? And the only thing I can say is we need more energy options. And then if you have, energy has to be consistent. If you don't have consistent energy, then the cost of energy goes up.
Yeah.
And so having inconsistent energy and more energy options is how you fight the energy poverty.
I'm assuming that the answer isn't that, like, you recreate that Lance Armstrong Sports Center commercial where you go down on a bike in the basement and you're just so athletic still at this point in your life, you provide the energy for everyone by riding the bike hard enough, right?
Well, that's going to cost you an awful lot if you want me to do that. I can make it happen, but this is going to cost you an awful lot.
I know you came back to this area and you were in Annapolis as you were sort of unveiling EnPAC and the nonprofit. Why back this way? You mentioned that this started from you being down in Texas and what happened there. Why come back here? Is it because that this fight has to go to Washington?
Well, more so that, yes, it's there, and also you have a lot of minorities there, and the minority communities are the ones that I'm really worried about, and it's going to get affected in this energy transition as we do this. Because the brownouts and the blackouts are not going to happen to where people are actually paying the bills. They're going to happen to where people are more likely getting disconnected 2.5 times more than other people, and that is the minority communities that are getting disconnected. And that's something that you don't really hear people talking about. And if you don't have power, you really don't have anything. You set a lot of people back, the people that are needing power, that have medical issues, and then when you look at the communities of the kids, if they don't have power, you set them back from learning, just having the quality of life. And so as we make the transition to energy, I want to make sure that we keep the conversation at the forefront of making sure how we have reliable and affordable power, and not just say, it's only a certain amount of energy sources of generation that we can have, because that's going to really hurt and crush our communities. And the last thing I would say, no one can ever predict Mother Nature. So with that being said, we need to, when I went into a game, we didn't go into a game with one or two plays. We had a lot of audibles, and we had things that bagged up, and we had things that, if one thing didn't work, then we had a backup. And so are we doing the same thing with our power system? And what is our backup system or our backup plan? Because you can never plan for Mother Nature. But more importantly, that if power does get cut off, it's going to affect the minority communities. And so I really want to emphasize, I think that we need to have more options, energy options. What does that look like? And as we make a transition into cleaner energy, but we also make sure that we keep at the forefront reliable and affordable energy, because if not, it is going to impact our communities. And last but not least, what we saw down in Texas after the Winter Storm Uri, we saw it was almost 290-something deaths within a span of 7 days. So that is something that is very at the forefront of my agenda in mind, and want to make sure that people understand that, this is serious, and this is something that we don't want to happen, yet alone in any communities, especially in the minority community.
Gary, I hear it in your voice as you talk about this, and I know that you've been involved as an entrepreneur following your playing career. Do you find this like being like a competitive juices thing? Like, I'm solving this problem drives me the way that playing football once upon a time drove me?
Well, it is. It gets me fired up. You can hear my passion, and I guess the whole purpose of creating the EnPAC is let's have the conversation. Let's bring everyone to the table, and let's come up with a creative energy plan that we can all benefit from, and we can all be advanced from, and not have to worry about. This is America. We should not have to worry about rolling brownouts and blackouts when we could put a man on the moon. I mean, this is the most silliest thing there is, but we got to have the conversations, because, if you don't have the conversations, then these things will not happen. And so my goal is to have conversations, bring everybody together and say, okay, what does our energy solutions look like here and our options? And also everybody wants to have a backup redundancy plan. Why wouldn't you? Because if you don't plan for it, then you're setting yourself up for failure.
So is this the part where we call out Roethlisberger and say it's time for you to step and make him a donation because, he never would have been himself if it weren't for you? Like, is this the moment where we say it's time, like you owe it a little bit. Let's make a donation to EnPAC, Big Ben?
And let's also add dinner for life for Gary Baxter, okay?
I
we
feel
need
like
to add that on there too.
I feel like that's not too much to ask, right? The man owes his entire career to you.
I'm just asking for a little bit. Dinner won't be that expensive. No less than $300, Ben. I mean, I made you a lot of money. I made him a lot of money.
I love that. Gary, how can people find out more about EnPAC and the work that you guys are doing?
Well, so you can actually go to the website, which we are getting ready to launch in about a few more days. We're getting some more stuff, but EnPAC.org, EnPAC.org, and you can get involved. There's going to be, we're getting the website ready to where we want to hear people what you think. We want comments, newsletters, and just really get involved on some of the projects and start the conversation. Let's have the conversation of making sure that as we go forward in the future, that we're thinking of all options and making sure that the two things that are very important is reliable and affordable energy.
This sounds like a no-brainer to me, and I think that it's a wonderful thing for you to commit to, and I'm not surprised, knowing everything we know about you, that you're throwing yourself wholeheartedly at something that can help so many people. Gary Baxter, everything else good with you, man? Life all right?
Life is great. I cannot complain. It wouldn't do me no good. I don't think anyone wants to hear me complain. But overall, life is great. I thank God, and everything is good, and I just want to continue to help people wherever I go.
I know you still rooting for the Ravens. I saw you talking to the TV station down in Texas a couple weeks ago. That was a bummer. That was a real bummer, man.
Yeah.
That was.
I was actually at the game.
Did you really?
I'm always going to root for. I was at the game. I had to come. I had to go there. I was there, and it was a bummer. I'm always going to love the Ravens. Those are they're in my heart forever. And you know what? We just got to gear back up. We got to go back at it again. And, we got to keep chopping wood, and we got to get there again. But I really wanted us to be in the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl, not just be there, but win the Super Bowl. But the Ravens, they got a great team, and we keep Lamar healthy. I think that we have a great chance. Defense is solid.
Look, man, it was a huge disappointment because this team seemed to have everything, right in front of them in order to go to – but, at the same time, to what you just said – if they've got a healthy Lamar Jackson next year, I believe they're going to have a chance because that's the water you swim in when you have a player of that ability on your team.
You got that right, and I look forward to it. And I think the defense is going to be solid again. And so, don't count the Ravens out, count them in, and I'm pulling for them 1,000%. And so we got to be Super Bowl bound. We was, one game away?
Yeah,
One game away.
One game.
I know. It was very disappointing, but that's what makes sports so great, right? That's what makes it brings everyone together, makes it great, and, it just gets the fans excited for the next year. And I'm rooting for them again, and I hope they have better success than last year. That means we at the Super Bowl.
Kind of sick of Patrick Mahomes winning all of them, too. Kind of sick of that. Over it. Let's mix it up. Gary Baxter, seriously, good on you, and we will continue to support and anything we can do to try to help get the word out about what you're doing because we love this, man. Support EnPAC and trying to bridge this gap for communities that need affordable power and more options, frankly, in order to make it more affordable. Gary, thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us this morning. Let's chat again soon, all right?
All right, thank you. Take care, and have a great day, Maryland.
Thank you, sir. Gary Baxter, former Baltimore Ravens cornerback, famously took out Tommy Maddox all those years ago, set everything into motion. It's wild. It's wild. It's not a topic, obviously, that we're going to discuss much on the show. It's not something that I can pretend like I know a whole heck of a lot about, but his point, like what happened in Texas should not happen somewhere else. Agreed. I'm far too stupid to be able to try to figure it out, but Gary's a smart guy, so I appreciate the fact that he's throwing himself at it because I trust him a whole heck of a lot more, and I am all in favor of there being more competition within the energy. Like, I think every single person has felt this. It's extraordinary, and we're like, and we don't have options. And I would say, I'm certainly not wealthy, but I'm not in the, the lowest end of this conversation. So if I feel that, my God, what it must feel like in those communities. So completely get it and support what it is that Gary Baxter's doing. Hey, if you think you know high school basketball, go to countysportszone.com where you can pick the winners and earn points to see where you stand on the leaderboard. It's only at countysportszone.com, presented by your local Toyota dealers. Continue to get me your responses for Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll share them throughout the day at Glenn Clark Radio. On Twitter, it's all brought to you by Glory Days Grill. Glory Days Grill, the food is outstanding. The wings, the burgers, the ribs, the cauliflower wings. I've told you a million times. It's a meal. Sometimes you go somewhere, you ask for the cauliflower wings. You're like, oh, this is, a side. Their cauliflower wings, outstanding. Put that Korean No. 2 sauce on them. Go get yourself a Goose Flights Lager while you're there. Goose Flights Lager available in cans at every location that Glory Days Grill has here in the state of Maryland. Also available in cans at Alonzo's, Cold Spring Lane, and Roland Park. Available in cans at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton. Available in cans and six-packs at Costas Inn, as well as Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North. Available in six-packs and cases at the Wine Source in Hamden. Find all those locations, pressboxonline.com/gooseflights. In case you ever forget, $1.98 from every can sold goes to the Goose Flights Foundation and the work they're doing to provide non-emergency medical transport to those in need. Goose Flights, go get yours today. All right, I think we covered everything. We'll go ahead and get a tidbit.
Yeah, believe.
Tidbit is brought to you today by, we were just talking about how you can get goose flights at the Green Turtle. So, let's talk more about the Green Turtle.
And you can make some money at the Green Turtle. Maybe if you played my UFC parlay, you would have made a couple extra dollars with your free $10 bet over at the Green Turtle, as Robert Whitaker and...
bet all the favorites.
Well, I mean...
Bet all the favorites.
Ian Gary, they were going to win, and they did. So, and Marab, it was a good parlay. But if you do use your $10 bet over at the Green Turtle Sportsbook, you get a $10 bet every Thursday at the Green Turtle Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. And you can use it on whatever you would like and experience the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. So go check out the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. Go pick up your free bet and make some money while enjoying some food and sports tomorrow night, every Thursday at the Green Turtle.
What you got?
All right, I'll do a quick, so we'll finally put President's Day behind us. They did have, NHL saw something that's only happened once ever in history, as JT Miller and Sean Monahan of Winnipeg and JT Miller of Vancouver, both scored hat tricks for their teams. But however, they did lose by 3 goals. Each of them, separate teams, lost by 3
I
goals.
would say that's interesting if I thought it was.
Second time that's ever happened, that multiple players scored a hat trick and their teams lost.
Sure.
Last time was March 24th, 1990.
That was.
You remember where you were?
Yes. I was 6. I hadn't turned 7 yet.
Okay.
I was
and you
6.
were like, wow, these guys are scoring a lot.
Yeah, all these goals.
Their
I
teams are
believe, if I remember
losing.
correctly, it was Sergei Fedorov and Mike Richter.
Close. It was.
No, he was a goalie. Why would I say that?
It was Stefan Richter.
I couldn't tell you.
And Paul McLean.
Sure.
St. Louis.
If you say so.
In Montreal.
Right.
And then I liked what we were doing. We were trying to call the top running backs. So I went to PFF, and I want to see if you can name their top 5 graded running backs from 2023.
Top 5 graded running backs.
Yeah, so like rushing grade, like strictly rushing grade.
These are rushing grade.
Yes,
well,
there were 5 guys that scored 90 plus, according to PFF, on their rushing grade.
I'll still say McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey was top 5. He was number 5.
Number 5. Who had a really good year? Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams was number 4.
Okay.
They said that 3 guys ran the ball better than those 2.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry was 8th. Yeah.
That's it.
No good.
Scratch him off the list.
He is clearly
Pacheco?
shot. No, not Pacheco.
Harris?
Where did they put Pacheco? Pacheco was 16th, not Harris. Najee was Jalen Warren was 12. They graded him better than Naj.
Yeah, I don't know.
Najee was 28.
Mostert.
Raheem Mostert. He was number 3.
Hey.
All right.
Cooking with gas now. Kamara?
Not Alvin Kamara. He's much lower down.
Etienne?
Not Etienne. Is it Etienne? Etienne?
I did a whole thing
I know,
about that.
I already forget.
Yeah.
21 for Etienne.
Barkley?
Not Saquon.
Gibbs?
Not Gibbs.
Achan?
Devon Achan was their number 1 rusher last year. The 93.1 rushing grade. And number 2, so I didn't put any
Jones?
minimum rushing parameters on it.
So Taylor?
Not Taylor.
Minimum rushing? So it could have been somebody that played next to nothing?
Well, it could have been, but he played.
J.K. Dobbins?
He played 7 games. It wasn't.
7 games? I got to remember who specifically played 7 games. Specifically played 7 games. Who got? I can't know. I don't know if this is somebody that came back from an injury or got hurt now. 7
Both,
games.
actually.
Both came back from an injury, then got hurt again. This is very difficult for me to try to remember who this is.
He was
7 games.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
He was a Baltimore Raven.
Oh, Keaton Mitchell.
Keaton
right.
Mitchell was the number 2 graded rusher. He only had 47 carries, but in those 47, they gave him a 92.5 rushing grade. PFF did. So
it feels.
I think we're gonna be fine.
It feels like it shouldn't count. Feels like that's kind of cheating.
If we make it, at least 100 rushes, James Conner enters the top 5.
All right.
There you go.
I kind of forget he's a thing sometimes, honestly.
Yeah. Well, they give him a lot of carries.
The fantasy people are all in on DeMercado. Like they
DeMercado. So if you take out again, he only had 58 rushes, but he was he would be the number 6 rusher.
That's wild. Like the fantasy people love him. It's crazy. DeMercado. I don't know, man. They're all like,
so how did Arizona? Arizona had 6 and 7.
Yeah, and they stunk,
rusher,
right? And they were terrible. All right, here's coming up, Tubular Wise. It's brought to you by Superbook. Superbook.com. Download the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up. You'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose from Superbook. Navy tonight, 1.5 favorites at Loyola. I think that's correct. I think I would go with Navy on the road tonight at
Who did
Loyola.
Loyola beat?
They
beat
played.
Lafayette,
They've been
right?
a little bit better recently, but they're. Sign up Superbook.com, download the Superbook app, and again, use that code GlennClark23. When you sign up, you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match. So, yes, that game on ESPN Plus tonight from Reitz Arena at 7 o'clock. Maryland women tonight against Rutgers at 7 o'clock on Big Ten Network Plus. Also, the women's lacrosse team takes on Drexel at 4 o'clock on Big Ten Network Plus. Big Ten hoops tonight, Illinois, Penn State, 6:30 on BTN, followed by Nebraska, Indiana at 8:30. All the rest of the college basketball, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. TNT Flyers, Blackhawks at 7:30, Bruins, Oilers at 10. USA this afternoon, Liverpool and Luton Town at 2:30. Which always feels made up. Every time I see Luton Town, like, there's no way that's a real thing.
Luton Town?
I don't know.
I think it is.
More Champions League this afternoon on the big CBS, Napoli and Barcelona at 3 o'clock. And then on Paramount Plus, Porto and Why wouldn't they put the other game on CBS Sports Network? Like
they got to play CBS HQ.
Well, no, they need to sell. They need to get people to buy Paramount Plus. That's the answer. Champions League, Porto and Arsenal at 3 o'clock. TBS tonight for AEW Dynamite at 8. Some non-sports highlights.
And, of course, at 4 o'clock, Mount St. Mary's Navy women's lacrosse.
Oh,
on ESPN
that's where you're running out of here for?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
What?
No, I'm rooting against everybody.
Okay.
Go ahead.
New episode of Abbott Elementary. Dolly Parton.
Griffin altered the schedule for the day because he's like, I gotta go out to Emmitsburg. I got a thing. I'm like, oh, no, it's the wrong day for that.
You can stick.
Most days would be no problem. Today, it's a bad day for it.
I'm sorry. Well, thank you.
Things going on.
I appreciate it.
Go ahead. Get to the
big CBS is the place to be, I guess, because Dolly Parton's Pet Gala is at 9 o'clock.
Can't miss that. I never have. I've never missed it.
Jeff Goldblum and Tyler James Williams will be on Jimmy Kimmel. And then there's a new show called Constellation on Apple TV Plus. It looks like it looks Interstellar-esque, and it's like a psycho thriller. There's like a disaster on the International Space Station. Yeah, go check that out. Messi's World Cup like docu-series. That's also on Apple TV Plus. And season 2 of The Family Stallone on Paramount Plus as well.
I wish I liked that because I love Sly so much, but it's the formula. I can't do it. I can't watch your stupid fake reality shows. I can't watch them. I don't care if it was the most interesting person. The fake reality shows I can't watch. This is the most important day of the year. We're taking pictures.
It's not fake. That's true.
You're trying to create strife.
Well, it's okay. You're not watching that because the thing you are watching, Disney Plus, it is the final season of The Bad Batch, Star Wars, The Bad Batch.
Yeah, I'm not watching that either.
Follow the clones and their final adventures. First 3 episodes.
15
episodes.
Like the Jim Rome fans? Clones. I think Jim Rome got kicked off of CBS.
Really?
I don't know why. It's not like I don't think they replaced him with anything. I think everybody got kicked off of CBS. I think CBS wants you to buy Paramount Plus while also slashing all of their content. I think they got rid of Jim Rome. I think I saw they got rid of Adam Shine. Again, not that I've ever watched Adam Shine. Of all of the New York things, it's the height of people in New York like this, so we're telling you have to like it too. And maybe he's fine. All I remember is him being a provocateur and just saying things for the sake of saying them. Maybe that's changed over the years, but it felt like the height of, well, he's popular in New York, so we're going to put him on the network. Nobody else in the country cares, man. Nobody knows who he is. I never understood it. Jim Rome, at least, organically gained a following over the years. I understood that.
The Chris Everett thing, right?
Yes, that was famously once upon a time Jim Rome. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, I saw that.
Miss him.
The Super Bowl was they brought him out there, they did a big deal, and then he was like, and this is it. I'm off CBS now. Okay. Whatever. I'm not a Jim Rome guy myself, so life will go on for me. All right, we good?
I believe so, yeah.
Thanks today to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Ben Verlander. Thanks to Gary Baxter. And thanks to John Feinstein. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
So Kyle Stackpole will
we'll do a draft segment tomorrow.
Yes.
Stuff and things.
Fighting words. I guess I got another parlay I have to give out.
Okay, fine. Stuff and things is what we're saying. We got work to do, is what Griffin meant to say. Work to be done. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Who's this? What's 774? What's that area code?
Let's my guess.
Does it matter? Do I need to answer that call? 774? Could be England, maybe. I don't know.
It'll be strictly. It is Massachusetts.
Maybe it's the I got nothing.
Worcester.
Yeah. I don't know anybody in Worcester, I don't think. Thanks everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including who?
Fall River.
What's Fall River?
That's also like the town.
It's
like
a
the
town?
area.
Yeah, I got nothing. Everybody at the Live Casino and Hotel, Mother's North Grill, AJ Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, Costa Sin, Superbook Sports, Glory Days Grill, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Loyola or Navy. Go Maryland women. Duke sucks.